as per Article 1 of the Constitution, Article 1 of the Constitution, I beg your pardon, but then now you are actually throwing it, into some raging waters out there. That asks many questions because we do not know what is going to happen next. We give you the trust so that you can lead us the right way. And when you hear some of the public leaders talking like that, then it brings a lot of confusion in the head of Wanjiku now that we are headed to the general election. Let's talk about ethics. It's in the Constitution. Let's talk about leadership and public trust. Major Retired Peter Mwithi, who is a law enforcement officer and expert, will be here. When I talk about Major Retired, we know what I'm talking about. Discipline, and discipline is the keyword. Katrina Kate Mutiso, who is a political analyst and also aspiring politician, will be here. I want us to tell us what integrity is all about, as well as Karanja Gashusha, who is also a journalist par excellence and a political analyst. The three will be here at exactly 7. Let's talk about ethics, leadership, and public trust at 7. Vivian.
Very needed conversation, especially during this time when the campaigns have officially seemingly started. It's on. The game is on, as you mentioned yesterday. Now, today being a Tuesday, we also get to speak matters health right here on the show, and I will be joined later on by a clinical nutritionist from Placid Nutrition Center. His name is Dr. Japheth Winston, RDN. And our focus is on nutrition today, but specifically we are looking at what exactly should you be eating, especially during this cold season. Nutrition care during the cold season. Of course, you need to be having or taking in immune boosting foods. So which ones exactly, that is the conversation that we will be looking into today later on from around 9 a.m. So do stay tuned right here. My name is Vivian Degwa. Good morning.
Perfect. And now I want us to talk matters that pertain to land ownership in Kenya. When you look at land, it's not just about land itself. It represents identity, a sense of intergenerational wealth. And when you look at matters of land, when land disputes are mentioned, it's not always about who possesses the title deed. It's the legal ownership. Should it override historical attachment to land, especially for communities? That is what we shall be exploring with Turunga Ithadi, who is an advocate and mediator, and also Kimathi Kithure, who is a human rights defender, and Rebecca Wajiko, who has been a claimant of matters that pertain to land. That conversation will be coming to you at around 8 a.m., so stick around and find out more. Good morning, Marie.
A very good morning to all of you, and of course those joining us from across the country and beyond. My name is Maria, and of course you're watching Good Morning Kenya. Thank you for choosing to start your day with us here. I'll be bringing you up to speed with Matters News, and I want to begin right there with Matters Aviation, where a nationwide strike by aviation workers has been brokered a framework agreement between key stakeholders in the aviation sector, paving the way for negotiations to address outstanding labor disputes. The agreement signed on Monday and shared by the Cabinet Secretary for Roads and Transport, that is David Churcher, brings together the State Department for Aviation and Aerospace Development, the State Department for Labor and Skills Development, the Civil Aviation Authority, Kenya Airports Authority, Kenya Airways, Jambojet, and the Kenya Aviation Workers. Under the agreement, the Kenya Aviation Workers Union has suspended its strike notice issued on July the 20th, 2026, allowing operations across the country's aviation sector to continue uninterrupted. As negotiations begin this week, the parties agreed to hold a series of meetings to facilitate aviation and aerospace development. Principal Secretary, that is Teresia Mbaika.
At most a month to make sure all these issues are addressed. But of course, we have specific starting dates on the negotiation. So we expect by the end of the 1 or the 30 days, everything will have been settled.
Indeed, I confirm that our strike action through a strike notice issued on 20th of July stands suspended, and so there is no anticipation for any disruptions whatsoever arising from the intended strike action.
The Kenyatta University Council has appointed Professor John Okumu as the university's substantive Vice-Chancellor effective July 27, 2026. The appointment was announced on Monday by the chairperson of the University Council, Professor Clara Momanyi, during a ceremony held at the university's main campus. Speaking after receiving his appointment, Professor Okumu thanked the University Council for its confidence in him and pledged to provide visionary, inclusive and transformative leadership while advancing academic excellence. He succeeds Professor Paul Wainaina, becoming the 7th Vice-Chancellor in the institution's history. The Kenyatta University community has welcomed his appointment and expressed their optimism that his leadership will guide the institution into its next phase of growth, innovation, global competitiveness.
Help him, assist him. We expect that we are going to work peacefully with our Vice Chancellor. We are going to cooperate with him. We are going to help him, assist him. We are going to work together for the good of this university. And we hope that we are going to take this university in a bigger step more than it is now.
I take this opportunity to thank the Kenyatta University Council, the ministry, and my management here for the support. I'm very, very excited that I'm being given this opportunity to steer Kenyatta University. So we have great students here in Kenyatta University. Theirs is, I promise them good leadership. I promise them that the quality of education that we give, we'll always try to do our best so that when they get out of Kenyatta University, they have the best certificates.
Democracy for Citizens Party DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua has challenged the government to address the worsening security situation in the northern parts of Meru County, particularly in Igembe. Collins Kefa with more details and the political wrap.
Speaking during his second-day political tour in Meru County, the former deputy president, while in Igembe constituency, claimed that cattle wrestling has become a persistent challenge in the region.
Ng'ombe zao zinaibiwa. Mpaka wa leo watu 140 wameuawa. Ng'ombe zaidi ya 12,000 zimeenda. Mbuzi na kondoo 500 zimeenda.
Gachagua at the same time challenged Meru farmers to unite in defending the industry by resisting exploitation and demanding reforms.
Ukaahidi watu ya Igembe ya kwamba utaimarisha biashara ya miraa.
And in what might ruffle feathers in the DCP fraternity, party's deputy leader of the Democratic Congress Party DCP and former Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala has declared his support for former ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna's bid for the presidency.
Sisi kama jamii ya Waluya lazima tushikane. Mtoto wetu Edwin Sifuna amesimama kura. Mimi nimesema kama mtoto Mluya hapa Kakamega, mimi nitamshikilia hapa Kakamega tumsupport. Awe pia anaweza kalia kiti cha juu atusaidie.
This, as a section of youth leaders from the Mount Kenya region, has called on political leaders to embrace responsible leadership that promotes national unity amid concerns over what it describes as rising tribal and divisive rhetoric in the country.
Comrades, power. An attack to one community is an attack to all communities. With the freedom of movement that is envisaged in the Kenyan constitution, Kenya is a well-integrated country, and communities have settled in areas that were deemed not to be ancestral land. Kenya is a nation built on principles of equality, dignity, and respect for every individual and every community.
And Kakamega Governor Fernandez Baraza supporters want him to quit ODM and join the Linda Mwananchi political movement for allegedly being sidelined on party matters in the region. The supporters claim that Baraza, who is Kakamega County ODM chairperson, was deliberately excluded during a recent meeting chaired by Cabinet Secretary for Cooperatives Wycliffe Oparanya in Malava.
Na sisi tunaambia Baraza, kama unaona uzito kule, usivumilie, wewe ni ndugu yetu. Sisi tumejenga mnara wa Sifuna. Amua kama itakuwa vile inaenda, Baraza kuja join mnara ya Sifuna tukonge hii watu vipi.
Finally, allies of President William Ruto from the Ukambani region have intensified their campaign to rally residents behind the United Democratic Alliance UDA, saying the region has little to gain by remaining in the opposition.
Tumekuwa kwa upinzani kwa miaka nyingi, na tumekuwa kwa upinzani kwa sababu ya siasa ya ubinafsi, siasa ya kufuata mtu mmoja. Imefika wakati sasa tubadilishe siasa yetu, tutoke kwa vyama vya ukabila, tuingie kwa chama cha kitaifa, chama cha UDA. Tufanye kazi pamoja na Rais William Ruto, tumpatie 2 term, ndio hata sisi kama walipa kodi na kama wananchi wa sehemu hii ya Kenya tuweze kupata maendeleo kama sehemu zingine za Kenya.
Collins Kefa, Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you, Collins Kefa, for that report. Now, the government has stepped up efforts to align technical training with the needs of industry by announcing a new partnership that will see TVET trainees receive hands-on training and professional certification in painting. Speaking during the launch of the program in Nairobi, Technical and Vocational Education Principal Secretary Dr. Esther Moria said the move is intended to produce job-ready graduates, nurture entrepreneurs, and bridge the skills gap in Kenya's fast-growing construction sector. The program is set to be rolled out immediately across the country's TVET institutions. A constitutional petition seeking to ban loud and unsolicited music in public service vehicles is before the High Court, with the petitioner arguing that the practice violates passengers' constitutional rights. Advocate Samuel Barongo Nyamari has sued the Matatu Owners Association, NTSA, NEMA, and the Attorney General are seeking orders to stop the playing of loud music in matatus.
As a matter of context, I filed this petition in my personal capacity and also in the public interest.
The matter came before Lady Justice Patricia Nyaundi at the Milimani Law Courts, where Advocate Samuel Barongo Nyamari is challenging the continued playing of loud music in many matatus without passengers' consent.
To what I term as a pandemic that has been going on in this country. A pandemic that has been perpetrated for a long period of time by the matatus in this country, specifically in this city of Nairobi.
He argues that excessive noise in public service vehicles infringes on commuters' right to dignity, privacy, and a clean and healthy environment.
I invite this court to take judicial notice of the fact that many matatus play loud music all through, without regard to the nature of passengers they're carrying. Play loud music to the young, tender babies, to the old, to the sick. And you cannot even take a call.
The court directed parties to file and exchange their submissions ahead of the judgment, which is scheduled for April 2027. Elsewhere, 3 people have taken a plea of not guilty at the Milimani Law Courts of an alleged theft of mobile phones and other electronic items worth more than 7.7 million Kenyan shillings from a Nairobi retail shop. The 3 were released on a bond, with the third accused, an Ethiopian national, ordered to deposit a passport in court. and chaos erupted at the Milimani Law Courts, forcing proceedings to stall after dramatic scenes broke out moments before the High Court was to issue directions in a habeas corpus application involving the disappearance of Abdulaziz Zizu. The matter had come up before Justice Alexander Muteti, seeking orders to compel authorities to produce Abdulaziz Zizu or account for his whereabouts.
Lordship, our primary complaint in this petition in our application for habeas corpus is as against the respondents who are members of the National Police Service.
Bruce Mayoyo, Good Morning Kenya.
The Anti-Counterfeit Authority has raised concern over proliferation of fake fertilizers, seeds and pesticides that are contributing to productivity. Anti-Counterfeit Authority Executive Director Dr. Robbie Kinga says the agency is sensitizing farmers on how to flag the counterfeit farm inputs while intensifying efforts to stop those behind the illicit trade.
Agriculture contributes more than a fifth of Kenya's gross domestic product and supports millions of livelihoods. However, the sector is now facing the challenge of proliferation of counterfeit farm inputs, which undermine productivity and erodes farmers' incomes. Speaking during a public participation forum in Nyeri County, Anti-Counterfeit Authority Executive Director Dr. Robbie Kinga urged farmers and consumers to only purchase agricultural inputs from authorized dealers and verify product authenticity before making purchases.
Still have prevalence of counterfeit products, particularly farm inputs, being sold to our farmers. It was only this weekend that the authority, in conjunction with other government entities and the police, were able to impound fake fertilizer in Uasin Gishu, where somebody was just trying to sell fake fertilizer, which is substandard and does not have any component on that.
The government is strengthening public awareness and enforcement efforts to curb circulation of counterfeit products.
The reason why we are keen on this as a ministry is because we have realized that we have so many innovations, inventions, but we rarely benefit from them. They are copyrighted, they are taken away, and the innovators live in or wallop in poverty, while their technologies, their innovations, and whatever they have come up with is benefiting us.
They say their engagements are key to protecting consumers, supporting legitimate businesses, and safeguarding the agriculture sector.
We also have the instances of fake pesticides that are being sold in the country, among other issues that can affect our farmers here.
Ndutamo Kami for KBC Channel 1.
The Virtual Asset Service Providers Regulations of 2026 have been introduced seeking to govern the crypto industry under the Virtual Asset Service Providers Act. The regulations apply not only to companies physically operating in Kenya, but also those that actively target Kenyan consumers or derive economic benefit from the country, as Regina Manyara now reports.
Cryptocurrency adoption is gaining traction, with digital assets being used for cross-border remittances, international trade and investment, amid calls to strengthen the anti-money laundering framework and improve oversight of emerging financial technologies. To ensure token holders can redeem their assets even during periods of market stress, the National Treasury has reduced the proposed pay-up capital requirement for stablecoin users from 500 million shillings to 300 million shillings and lowered the corresponding liquidity requirement from 100 million shillings to 60 million shillings. On the other hand, applicants seeking a virtual asset service provider's license must disclose directors, beneficial owners, source of funds, governance structures, cybersecurity policies, anti-money laundering procedures, business continuity plans, and undergo independent information system audits, including penetration testing. Foreign-owned firms should disclose cross-border operations and regulatory status in other jurisdictions. Regulators are required to determine complete license applications within 30 days after due diligence is completed. To enhance consumer protection, the National Treasury has introduced suitability requirements requiring providers to assess whether products are appropriate for customers before recommending investments. Regina Manyar reporting for KBC Channel 1.
Well, and that story by Regina Manyara brings us to the end of the bulletin this morning. But before I leave you, let me just give you what the results of the WAFCON that took place yesterday, where South Africa was playing against Tanzania. Of course, Tanzania defeated South Africa 2-1, and also Ivory Coast was playing against Burkina Faso, where Ivory Coast took the lead, or won the game 4-1. Well, today we still have more matches that will be broadcast to you here on KBC Channel 1 Live. That is Zambia versus Egypt and Nigeria versus Malawi. So make sure that you catch those matches here on KBC Channel 1. Thank you, as always, for starting your day with us here on Good Morning Kenya. And Good Morning Kenya still continues. Stay with us if you can. Victor Lowe and the rest of the crew will be here to take you through the rest of the program. Do have a great morning and the day.
Get ready for a captivating continental football extravaganza. KBC Channel 1 brings you exclusive coverage of the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations, WAFCON. From Sunday the 26th of July to Sunday the 16th of August 2026, welcome to Morocco is the battleground as Nigeria defend their title against 15 other nations fighting to lift the prestigious trophy. Who will be crowned Queens of African Football? Courtesy of the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports. Watch all the action unraveling on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Pindi tunapowasha vifaa vyetu, tunapata fursa ya kutangamana na wasikilizaji wetu.
Karibu sana thĩinĩ wa tabarĩra ya Rwiga.
Tunapeperusha utangazaji uliobobea katika habari,
nĩ ũndũ wa macio na mangĩ maingĩ,
burudani,
haha nĩ harĩa tũkoragwo tũkĩigua nyĩmbo mwaki nyĩmbo hot,
na hamasisho la kiroho. Usiachwe nyuma. Jiunge nasi kwa safari ya kufana katika 99.5 FM. Shoro FM.
Ni kila Ijumaa kutokea saa 1:30 mpaka saa 4 kamili. Inakuwa ni burudani kiukamilifu ya Afrika Mashariki.
Tunakupatia umbea kwa segment inaitwa The Big Story. Tunachanua what's happening in social media, msanii amefanya nini na nani.
Kando na mziki mzuri wa Afrika Mashariki, The Big Story pia anawaletea mastaa tofauti ndani ya studio kutoka Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, yani ukanda mzima wa Afrika Mashariki.
Nakumbuka pia unaweza interact na sisi kwenye mitandao, yani social media platforms, that is Facebook, Instagram, X na hashtag ni ile tu #WaMasharikiLive.
Tunakupa mix kali kutoka kwa DJ Kuch, muziki ya kizazi kipya iliyotamba inazidi kutamba na ambayo tunaitambaliza zaidi.
Exactly, and as always msisahau lazima tuwapatie burudani yenye vitamin extra.
All right, welcome back. It's now 7 minutes. Actually, it's 7 a.m. Karibu sana to the program. My name is Victor Lobinga. Tuesday, we talk about matters, people, and politics. And today, let's talk about ethics, leadership, and public trust. Ethics, leadership, and public trust. That is in the Constitution. Chapter 10 of the Constitution dictates that every public servant must have the three. And I just wanted to get into deeper details whether, now that we are headed to the big day, that is the 2027 general election, you as Wanjiku, what are you supposed to do? Do we elect leaders who are exercising the three? Leadership, ethics, that is public trust, which is enshrined under the Constitution. And that is going to be our discussion today. Please talk to us and send us your comments on WhatsApp. That is 0707 30 32 12. That is 0707 30 32 12, 303 212. And talk to us. Do our leaders have ethics and leadership integrity? That is what is my question today. Do our leaders have ethics and integrity? In studio, I'm joined by Karanja Gashusha, who is a seasonal journalist. Joining me on set is also a political commentator. He's a colleague in the industry. Karanja, good morning.
Good morning.
Not in a territory you're new to this.
Relatively, but I'm home.
Yes.
So I'm new to the territory in terms of career, in terms of work. But I'm home, so I feel quite at home. Asante sana.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I'll take you through the front page of the local dailies. Let me start with the Daily Nation. The Daily Nation talks about billionaire governors. That is on the front page. Billionaire governors. It talks about cases reveal a striking pattern with each type of litigation exposing a different layer of wealth. And the Daily Nation is more of an expose. In corruption trials, the Daily Nation reports, commercial disputes, land battles, and defamation suits, judges have scrutinized multi-million shilling property portfolios owned by current and former governors that had long remained hidden from public eye, illuminating the politicians' financial footprints far more than confidential wealth declaration or mandatory political disclosure ever have. In many cases, the details surfaced not because the county chiefs volunteered them, but because prosecutors, investigators, business rivals, or private litigants placed the evidence before the courts. And the Daily Nation has put some of the names here, starting with former Governor Ferdinand Waititu, Moses Lenol Kulal, of Samburu. We have got former Governor Mike Sonko, former Governor Ivan Skidero, former Governor Hassan Joho, former Governor Okoth Obado, former Governor Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya, and the incumbent of Kiambu County, that is Kimani Wamatangi, all of them having different cases, either still pending cases in court or before the EACC, and so much more. So that is also on the front page of the Daily Nation. Still here, something that's of great importance is that 34,000 teachers set for promotions. The Teachers Service Commission has advertised 34,016 promotional vacancies for teachers across public primary schools, secondary schools, and teachers training colleges, opening applications for career advancement in the 2026-2027 financial year. The vacancies span 30 cadres from senior teacher 2 to chief principal. That is a story worth reading. If you're a teacher out there, then this is a story meant for you. Actually, it continues deeply on page 10. I think this is a very important story for you. Now, right, so there's that case of the 21-year-old lady who jumped from the 22nd floor in one of the high-rise buildings in Upper Hill. And the questions are just still coming out, whether it's suicide, it was accident or murder. And the mystery is now shrouding students' fatal fall from 22nd floor. Yeah. not a good way, so to speak. Okay. On the front page of the Standard, Kindiki stripped. That's on the front page of the Standard. Kindiki stripped. The Standard reports. All right. According to the Standard, President William Ruto has dealt Deputy President Kithure Kindiki his biggest political blow yet, stripping him of the powerful intergovernmental coordination docket and handing it to Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi. Documents obtained by the Standard show Kindiki has lost one of the Deputy President's most influential levels of power, a role previously exercised by both Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua. The move comes as UDA reels from its all-kalau, humiliation, and pressure mounts from within the president's camp to rethink the 2027 ticket amid fears that Kindiki has failed to stem Gachagua's growing dominance of Mount Kenya. Okay. That's on the front page. You can go ahead and read more story for you on the two dailies. Gashusha, let me have the Star, kindly. Sure. The Star talks about Ruto gives out 2 million title deeds in 4 years. States aim to promote economic transformation. That is on the front page of the Star newspaper. Ruto gives out 2 million title deeds in 4 years. Okay. Of course, there are several highlights there of title deeds issuance, as illustrated by the Star newspaper. University ordered to pay ex-aid 1.4 million shillings for unlawful dismissal, and so much more. You can take a look at the story there, whatever you want to, on your favorite paper. Now, let's come back to our discussion this morning. Let's talk about ethics, leadership, and public trust. And my guest, Karanja, let me just start. First of all, we are headed to one of the most contested general elections, 2027. It's been talked about from 2022. The moment we stopped last general election, we immediately started another cycle. But do we have ethics?
Good question. Do we have ethics? I think that question is still out there, right? Because as you see, for example, we've had this statement from Adnan Duale about his summons to the NCIC.
Yes.
Well, guilty or not, when the NCIC summons you, you should respond, regardless of who you are, regardless of who in government you are. You should respond. And statements sort of make very bold statements, positively stating that you will not show up, shows a culture of impunity that is very concerning. And without a question, without a shadow of a doubt, there is a certain lack of ethics in leadership. And by leadership, I don't just mean in government. I mean in everybody that's considered a leader, including in opposition politics. It's highly problematic that the type of politics, the type of narratives that we have is one where there's questions, and so it's very difficult to have integrity throughout the country if it's not being exemplified by the leadership. And by leadership, I literally mean everybody in governance, everybody in politics, including those that are in the opposition, because they do have power.
But that power is given to them, Article 1 of the Constitution. But the fear is that they might sometimes try to play some dirty tricks with Article 1 of the Constitution and run with it. And Wanjiku will not even, notice.
Well, Wanjiku has to learn that that we have a role.
Yeah.
And our role is not just in casting the ballot. My responsibility does not begin and end in 2022, in 2027 at the ballot box. My responsibility continues even after I cast the ballot. I, as a voter, I as a citizen, should have to hold myself accountable to hold the people, the leaders in power accountable. And the way you do that is you participate. We should be demanding town halls. I remember in 2024, that was a thing that the president started to do. And that's something that is within the power and absolutely a right and responsibility for the public to start to demand that their leaders show up, answer questions. And also, when these leaders are showing up to rallies, we don't just need rallies, because rallies, it's a one-way, it's a monologue. It's not a conversation. We need to start demanding that these leaders, and we should be summoning them. It's within our right, and we have that capability. So we can't just expect leaders to show up, tell us, whatever it is that they want to say, and then allow them to leave. And sometimes we know the culture of they give out small handouts.
And the sad thing is they know what they're required of them to be done. They know.
Absolutely, they know better. But if they're getting away with it, then there is no requirement for them to do any more, to do better. We do have, if I can get actually quite serious, we do have something, we have a cloud hanging over Kenya. And that is, we have quite a serious situation where in 2007, we had what I personally describe as a genocide occur. We've never reckoned with that. And my contention is that until we reckon with what happened, until we have some type of an investigation, a thorough investigation, a truth and reconciliation type accounting of what transpired, then and I wrote actually in 2007 that if we rewarded the actors in the 2007 genocide with continued leadership, unquestioned leadership, that Kenya was never going to recover from the dirty politics of acrimony, of grievance, and of violence. And we see today that that is only continuing to get, in fact, worse, not better. Thankfully, we haven't had a similar incident, but I don't believe that the ground is not ripe and fertile for such an eventuality. It's not out of the question. And so we do have to reckon with that. We do have to reckon with a full accounting of what really happened. There was a campaign, there was a tribal campaign that was run ever since 2005 to 2007. So it was not spontaneous violence. It was not violence that emanated from the public. It was violence that was, in fact, spurred by politicians, by powerful people. There was a tribal campaign, an openly tribal campaign that was run from 2005 to 2007. And so until we reckon with that, to date, IDPs from 2007 are still they are still homeless. They have never been they've never been compensated. They've never been rehoused. Many lost their homes. They've never been able to go back to their homes. Those who died, the families, have never been compensated. There's never been a full accounting. So I believe that we have to go back and start there, and then move forward and investigate every type of occurrence that is happening right now. And
that is accountability.
Accountability.
But then that accountability, it sounds so good, but the leadership perhaps might not be so receptive to accountability. And that is one of the hindrances to getting justice.
The leadership does not, I think it's ironic that we call it leadership. It's ironic that we call politicians leaders, because politicians don't lead. Politicians follow. Politicians follow the public. They don't lead. They follow whatever the public is saying. This so-called Linda Mwananchi, for example, it does not exist without
you think
the
so?
people.
It is the Mwananchi who follows the leaders.
The Mwananchi does not follow the leaders. It is the popular opinion that drives what leaders say. The leaders listen to what is being said in the public, and then they begin to reflect it to the
Not
public.
entirely so, because at some point we normally see them going against the grain. And, you know, they say when you want to listen to Mwananchi so much, as a politician, because they have their personal interests, we all know that, they'll go against the grain and they'll lose the, you know, the track of whatever they want to achieve as individuals, as politicians.
I feel like this is an interesting discussion, because I feel like I would be very interested to see an example of a leader who's going out there and making statements about things that the public does not like and is still able to have a following.
They've mastered their emotions. That is the thing. They have mastered the emotion of the masses. They know. Nikiongea hivi, kila mtu will be like, you know, this is it.
But I think you're agreeing with me. Thank you, sir, for making my point. They know that if they say certain things, they will get the public responding to them, because that is what the public is saying. Much of what the leaders repeat is what is being said on social media. You'll see it and hear it on platforms, on social media platforms like X, and then you'll see the leaders begin to reflect it to the public. But there's no real, for example, there's no one leader who's out there saying, for example, offering an ideology that is different than what we have currently. And that is because I don't see any leader that has any ideas that are different or separate.
But then, so then what is ethical leadership? Because that is a very big question. And where we are headed, each and every Kenyan, I normally call that person Wanjiko, has one key role to see who has ethics and integrity to be elected in a position or not. So what is ethical leadership? But before you answer that, let's just welcome Major Retired Peter Mwithi.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
We are talking about integrity. Are you a man of integrity?
I don't know what measurement you are taking, having me. A human being is somebody who is created in a way that he opposes himself.
Yes.
In the way that he doesn't want to do what is right. The integrity issue is always there in chapter 6, I think, leadership and integrity. But you find human beings are very queer animals, we ourselves. We must be honest to ourselves.
Yeah.
We come from different backgrounds religiously, but in most cases, we don't measure up to the average points of integrity. And yet, we know what you're supposed to do. Integrity borders in evaluating what is right and what is wrong. But quite often, we go to that left hand of doing things which don't really make sense.
It's in our DNA.
Yeah. And to point towards politics, because now our country is actually in temperatures which are very high. And I would agree with my colleague here, panelist, that the people who are doing us wrong is politicians. I do not know whether we would have a machine to gauge who holds those political representation.
Don't you think we have the machine, Karanja? Don't you think we have the machine with us?
We have the machine.
The machine is you and me.
Let me tell you, my friend. We have 3 books in this country. If we follow the doctrines and the teachings of those 3 books, we cannot go wrong in regard to integrity. One book is Quran, the holy book of those who prescribe the Islamic faith. The second one is the Bible. For us Christians, we prescribe the faith and followers of Jesus Christ. The third one is our Constitution, 2010. If we follow the teachings of those books, we cannot say that we are below any measurements of integrity. Now, when we talk about Bible, we have those teachers that they have volunteered themselves to guide the principles and doctrines of that book. But what do we see about them? they are short of integrity.
Yeah.
The Quran the same. The Constitution, if it is followed to the letter, the issues of integrity would not worry us. And I know I can explain if you give me time. In the East Africa, we have a circle of general elections. Tanzania is the first one. You saw what happened there. Uganda, you saw what happened there. In Tanzania, if you prescribe the teachings of Gachagua, Honorable Gachagua, it is listing the ground. They were saying what happened in Tanzania is quarterfinal. Let me bring it to the football.
Yeah.
Although the World Cup sensation has already gone. You'll find that they were saying that is quarterfinal. Quarterfinal of what? Of what happened there. People died because of lack of integrity. And things happened there worse. When we came to Uganda, there is militarization of the democracy in Uganda. And you know what happened? The ones who are supposed to be there, they were not there. Take you back in Tanzania. The one who was supposed to oppose the president was arrested. Question of integrity. Now, in Uganda, they said it was a semi-final. But in Kenya, they are saying is final.
Yes.
And it's not only final, but grand final. Grand final of what? Chaos.
Which I don't think should be.
And I'm praying...
Grand final
of chaos. This is the ground saying it. But we are praying very much that we don't go to that direction.
Yeah.
And I just think that we in Kenya, we have an opportunity to show ourselves in terms of integrity, and also our neighbors and Africa as a continent, and also the world, that we have an opportunity now to show that our democracy is maturing. I'll explain that later on. But if we continue the way we are going, with Goonism, with what is happening, our politicians, I wish I could, I don't know, their tongues come out with the fumes that are very tribal, they are very political inclinations. I think that is the wrong thing. So when we talk about integrity, it's broad-based. It's broad-based. But then it's debatable.
Yes.
But let us pray God that our politicians do not drive us to the grand finale of chaos in this country. Let them work very hard, and all of us, all of us should show the world that we can go into general elections, which is very peaceful, that no Kenyan dies, no chaos in general.
So you can say it should be a grand finale of peaceful. Thank you.
Resolutions.
No, exactly. But then, Karanja, so what forms an ethical leadership? And why is it important? Well, basically, two questions.
Well, ethical leadership, of course, is very important because it is what, when leadership, the very term leadership means that you're somebody or you're in a situation that should be an exemplary position. You're in a position to offer guidance and show by your own actions.
To the masses.
To the masses, to the people that listen to you. But that means everybody who has an audience. It starts with us. It starts with absolutely everybody. It starts with us here in this studio. We are in a position where people are listening to us. So we too have a responsibility with our utterances. We have a responsibility not to make claims that are not substantiated. We have a responsibility not to be suggesting, for example, I personally, I would push back on this idea that Kenya is going to be a grand finale, because what is that based on? What evidence is there that the Kenyan election is somehow going to be more chaotic or more violent than the Ugandan election or the Tanzanian election?
We've just corrected that with the measure that it's going to be A grand finale of peace.
So let's
of
be
super elections.
I agree. So we are
going to stand on a higher pedestal.
Right. So let's stand holding ourselves accountable right here on this table and make utterances that are based in fact, that are based in evidence, not based in conjecture. I'll tell you, you asked what is the yardstick. We do have a yardstick. We choose not to use it. We choose not to use it. I asked an AI platform in June 2025, so it's not even for this appearance. List former governors of counties in Kenya that have a good track record that excludes scandals and allegations of corruption. Are we doing that? Are we examining those leaders, political leaders in our country that are devoid of allegations of corruption and wrongdoing? And this is an interesting response because it says to me, unfortunately, most of the publicly available sources focus on governors who've been implicated in scandals rather than those with clean records.
Are you trying to say what's on the front page of the Daily Nation?
Yes. So that's problematic. So if we in this industry are not doing that job, who is going to do that job for the public?
To support your point, that is on the front page. You can go ahead and read it for yourself.
It is absolutely, we in this profession have a responsibility to the public. So we talk about billionaire governors. We talk about, I see here, there's Ferdinand Waitito, who's in jail. So he's being held, or rather has been jailed. I don't think he's still in jail. There's Mike Sonko here. He's been
investigated and all that.
So there's some accountability that's happening. But the point is that while it is important to report the facts, as they are, and these are facts, it is also important to report the facts in fullness, in their fullness. So it still did give me a list of governors. And I'm not saying that I'm vouching for these governors, but I'm saying that there is publicly available information that you can find. For example, at the top of the list is Kivutha Kibwana, who's from publicly available sources, says is widely respected for his people-centered leadership and transparency. There's the next one is Amason Kingi. There's Josephat Nanok. This is just from a random site. So what I'm arguing is that we do have the ability to report on that.
Yes,
we don't do it.
We don't do it. But then, Major, look at it this way. At some point, we will come back and start blaming the leaders. But there is one person who has a responsibility to choose the best leaders. That is you and me, the Wanjiku.
Yeah, this is Wanjiku. But again, the Wanjiku we have now is changing her mind.
Why?
It's changing her mind because Wanjiku thinks that their political representatives will do justice to her. But when she looks back again, she finds these politicians are not doing anything good. Most of them, actually, not all. Most of them are not doing justice. And we have questions that we should tackle here first before you blame the Wanjiku. The question again revolves to corruption. My friend, how do I wish that we would have the full-fledged ministry of countering corruption.
But we have.
We have.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission?
See,
we have
corruption,
that is EACC.
It is you and me, the Wanjiku and me, who are doing these things. Right now, I was coming from Rongata Rongai.
Right.
It is the public domain. Nobody wants to have evidence that our few traffic policemen ask 50 shillings openly. Let me tell you. And then we blame our leaders. I'm coming to support you that Wanjiku also has a problem. I come from Rongai. I am in a matatu. I see a police officer taking a bribe. You know, taking a bribe, 50 shillings. I'm seeing him, everybody's seeing in that matatu. If you want to raise a question, Why this policeman? The same Wanjiku who is sitting to me, and I'm also Wanjiku, will say, we, harakisha bwana, tunachelewa, mpe. What is our role? I have never seen His Excellency, the President, Dr. Samuel Ruto, taking bribe there. I'm telling you, my friend, the president or the presidency, when he speaks, that is already a policy. When he speaks, that is a policy. He's the president. He has all the machineries of powers. He's the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. If he says no to corruption,
yes,
I'm telling you, we are done with it.
Okay.
But our attitudes of the Wanjiku is that it cannot finish. It has taken, and let me tell you, to finish my line of thought. Have you ever seen any political leader going to benchmark in China where corrupt offenders are murdered and to come with that report, present it to the parliament and say, this is what I've said? What do they go there? Shopping, my friend. So until we change the dynamics of our attitudes of this Wanjiku,
okay. All right.
And you know, Wanjiku is also a problem. If I get down and incite people and tell them, oh, this policeman is doing bad without violence, I will be again told that
so here we are talking about ethics. We are talking about ethics and integrity.
Yeah, ethics.
So integrity requires that we take a break because it's 7:30. That's integrity. All right?
But you have values also.
We'll be right back. Stay with us. Stay with us. Stay with us.
In a world where news is ever-changing, staying informed is more important than ever.
Join us every week on News Check, your go-to show for the latest in current affairs, breaking news and in-depth analysis.
A warm welcome to KBC News Check.
From politics to global events, we bring you content that matter to you.
We're not just speaking about the governance and how we want to see it, but want to actually participate.
Get your facts, hear from the experts, and really understand what is happening around you.
We need to change our system first. You have to do the impossible to make sure the message is home.
Stay ahead, stay informed, stay engaged.
Will these people, everybody agree?
Just listen to me.
Let's give him a chance to clear the air.
Catch News Check every Tuesday and Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Only on KBC Channel 1.
All right, welcome back. Okay, still with the discussion. Today we are talking about integrity and matters to do with the personal, that is ethics. And we are here because we are headed towards one of the seasons that Major Retired would call the grand finale in East Africa. The grand finale in elections. And Kenya elections, it's one of the, it's the sweetest. There's a lot of excitement and, opposition is there. Kenyans are speaking their mind. Thanks to the new constitution that we have, Karanja, the question I wanted to ask all of you, so in all these things, there is one thing that we should not forget. That is called transparency. I would imagine that as an elected leader, you act with the utmost sense of transparency to Wanjiku, because Wanjiku has given you that role so that you can go and represent him or her. So how does lack of it affect public trust?
Of course it affects public trust because if the leadership is not doing what is expected of them, then what we are left with is more than just disappointment. it is a state of affairs where where the country is not being represented.
Okay.
It's interesting that you bring up the new constitution, because I'm not a big fan of the new
Maybe
constitution.
you just go to Major first.
No.
Something is going to be sorted out on your mic. Kindly. Apologies for that. So you can also just speak it on that. Lack of public transparency. You can just speak on that. How does it affect public trust?
I started saying that when we elect our representatives, we have hope that they'll do good to us.
Yes.
And the work of any government is to give its citizens hope. And let us all agree that the asset of the government, any government, is Wanjiku's. The asset of any government in the world is just those Wanjiku's. And the leaders who lead the government expect a lot from the Wanjiku's. I'll give you an example, which is a very, very unfortunate example that I have to give today, shaping the opinion of Wanjiku's out there. There is this finance bill, which people rejected and rejected and rejected. Our representatives from the National Parliament, they knew Wanjiku did not want that, but they rejected. They lacked ethics. They lacked values. They closed their ears. Until that time, we elderly people were in slumber. We are sleeping. We are sleeping. But our youth rose up and said, we don't want this constitution. What happened? We lost lives. We lost property. We lost faith in all those who said yes to this. I wish, it's not politics. I'm not inclined to any political party. How I wish the names of those politicians, Karanja, they could be displayed in billboards in our counties so that we know this guy refused to listen to the words of Wanjiku because they are letting us down. I'm telling you, frankly speaking, there's nothing wrong with our constitution. Any constitution will grow with amendments. But the problem is our political leaders. And Wanjiku also has a share of blame there. The thing we should stay here, which is going to shape the opinion of our people, is to tell them as we go to our election, take your vote. Your vote, Wanjiku, is your strength, is your voice. If you take that vote, don't put it in the pocket. Go on 10th of, is it August?
Yes.
2027.
Yeah.
Go there. You're alone in that booth. You have already seen Karanja here. He's a man of integrity or he's not a man of integrity. Do away with him. Whether he gives you something or he doesn't give. After all, the talk of the town is what happened in Olkalau. Olkalau, if we have time, we can digest a lot of lessons from those people without being inclined to any political party. So I think the problem is Wanjiku himself. And it is the work of the government and stakeholders to educate Wanjiku the power of that vote that she has. Understand?
Okay.
But do we see the civic education? What we see is people, like now we have these problems. Have you ever seen any political leader having a political rally to tell the Wanjiku that we are going to an era which is so dangerous? Let us stop goonism. Let us follow the rules. Let us be ethical, upright. Have you seen anybody? The interests are very different from the interests of Wanjiku.
My question is directly, Major, what does transparency play in public trust?
But
Transparency.
I've answered you.
Yeah.
The transparency is a wide subject.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the representatives of those who okayed yes to that, they don't have transparency.
Yeah.
They don't. And most of politicians, I'm sorry to say that, and I don't wish to be even one of them, and we need them again, is that they cross the red line of Wanjiku. They have always in time, in memorial, crossing the red line of Wanjiku. This means not doing the right thing that Wanjiku chose them to go and represent them in those houses. Instead, they come back and become what I could say self-centered. If you look at our National Assembly, my friend, you'll find that there are few of our legislators there, and their work is to legislate, approve those bills, make other things. But you find it's almost empty. And what they say is that they are with the Wanjiku and the ruler. Right. You go to the ruler, you don't find them. And they send money to be represented by their personal in times of mazishi and all other things. So they have to, Wanjiku has to look for somebody who is transparent.
Okay. Karanja, go ahead.
Yes, I started to say I'm actually not a big fan of the 2010 Constitution. You'll be surprised to learn.
Why?
The reason for it is because, as you're aware...
It's a beautiful document.
It is a beautiful document. We are told it is one of the best constitutions in the world.
Yeah.
We know that it is one that is actually very similar to the United States Constitution. I do happen to live in the United States, or spend a lot of time in the United States. And the problem with that constitution, as I see it, is that it was actually based on a copy-paste almost of a constitution, the United States Constitution, that was never meant to be representative of the people, that gives the illusion of freedom and power to the people. It gives you the freedom, for example, there's the Bill of Rights, it gives you the freedom to criticize your elected, so as we see here in the top cover. So you get to write and say anything, and that gives you this illusion of freedom. However, in reality, what happens, because of the way this constitution is laid out, all of the power actually lies in the legislators. We cannot append, we cannot amend the Constitution, for example. We cannot make amendments to the Constitution without a referendum, a public referendum. And we've had public referenda before. But then even after those referenda are had, they then have to be, they then have to go to legislators. They have to go to county legislators. They have to go to the MCAs. They have to go to the governor. Then they have to come to the national government. They have to, the parliament would have to accede to it. The Senate would have to accede to it. And so what we are left with is a constitution that grants so much power to these people, because unless we get a 2/3 majority, we cannot get a change. So if, for example, we want to hold these legislators accountable, we cannot hold them accountable, because even if we succeed in holding referenda, it's still up to them to accede to what referenda we hold.
Yes.
This is the reason why I say that this constitution is not representative and never was meant to be. And I'll use the example of the United States, which is very similar to here in Kenya. For example, in the United States, they have the so-called electoral college, where the president is elected by states, not by popular vote. In addition to that, you have the Senate, very similar in Kenya, where you have 2 senators for each state, just as we have a senator in each county. But those senators do not represent an equal number of people. So, for example, in the case of California, you have a state of 40 million people and a state like Wyoming with less than 1 million people. Both of them are represented by 2 senators each. We have the same situation in Kenya, where we have 47 senators. Some counties, Lamu has 150,000 people. You have counties in Northeastern that have 100,000 people. They get a senator. The old constitution that we had, I'm not saying that it was perfect, but at least in that dispensation, every member of parliament represented an equal number of roughly equal number of, and that's representative government. But this provision, where only the legislators can accede to any changes that we would like to see, is highly problematic. They will not accede to any change that strips any power from them. So, for example, when Kenyans have been talking about one man, 1 shilling, in the BBI, for example, the referendum, it's never going to pass, because the people who have to accede to it would have to strip power for themselves. And so we don't, we have an illusion of freedom and power in the public, but we don't actually have real representation. And that's why they don't have to pass bills or motions that are popular to the public, because there's literally nothing we can do except wait for 5 years to either bring them back into office or not. The other thing that allows them to not be accountable is because, as we see, there's all of these stories on the front page of the Daily Nation, except for Sonko and Waitito here and Kidero. You know, many of these figures I'm seeing are still in office, and there's absolutely nothing you can do to them. And if they are held accountable, at most they're given fines which are far less than the alleged amounts that they have embezzled. And so we have built into our system a culture of impunity. I actually argue that it is not, the problem is not so much our politicians, because I believe that water only takes the shape of the cup, right? Of the vessel that you put it in. And so we have to have a system, processes and systems in place that actually lead to behavior that is different.
Let's this to all of you, to all of us. Major, let me take you back to your to the first day you joined military college. The first day. What were you told? First day.
That was, you are taking my memory back to 1980.
Right.
When I was recruited in the military. I was a teacher by then, because I joined the military as an education officer.
Yes.
Or an education instructor. What the instructors taught me that time, they cleaned me of uraia, things that I used to do there, and opened a gate to the doctrines and traditions of the military. And I learned a lot. How I wish the veterans, and you know we have so many Karanja veterans, we have very many veterans who have retired, but they are able to do something. We have so many people in the security service who have retired. Unfortunately, some of them have died. Some of them have injuries. Nobody even thinks about them. And one thing I was taught there, and is still in me, and many other veterans, and most of the officers, the commissioned officers, is what we call patriotism.
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 Very good.
Patriotism. And that patriotism, again, is what is lacking. If you look, as we left the colonial time, 1963, when we got independence, our forefathers, up to 80s, up to 90s, there was a lot of patriotism.
Very good.
Where wewe, ungalikuwa umepata grades za kwenda US kama Karanja, na una pesa, kijiji, they all knew, na wanakupeleka.
Yes.
But beyond 1990, mambo ikaanza kuharibika, ikatulemea.
There is a reason why I asked you the first thing. The first day you joined the military college, the keyword is patriotism.
Patriotism.
Decades later, it's still imprinted in your mind.
Yeah, it's in my mind.
The question why I'm asking this, if that was implanted in your DNA, right now it's part and parcel of your life, all right? Do we think that as Kenyans we are patriotic enough that we are able to steer this country through the leadership that we elect? We are headed towards election in under 10 months. Go ahead.
Okay, let me tell you one thing. There are so many Kenyans, many of them, who are patriotic. But then, as Karanja said, our system and our institutions are breaking the heart of patriotism in them.
Deliberately?
Deliberately or deliberately, it's debatable. But I'm telling you, without a lot of confusion, there are so many Kenyans in this country who are very, very patriotic. Very, very patriotic. And you have touched the military. I'm not a spokesman of the military, but let me tell you one thing. I'll give you an example where I'm saying most of the military personnel are very patriotic.
Yes.
There's that area of money, and everybody, Karanja, likes money. But I'm telling you, in my case, I chose to be a teacher.
Yes.
Out of my own choice. But I chose to be a military officer to represent my people where I came from. I was a young man. I wanted adventure. And I got it from the military. With military personnel, we are taught so many things. That life doesn't matter so long as you defend Karanja, you defend his property. I can give you a very small example of myself and many others out there. In my life career of the military, the significant areas that will support the patriotism, in 1982, I was a senior sergeant. I was in Kahawa when that coup took place. When the Wanjikus thought that the regime was pushing them to the wall, the few elements of the Air Force, just a few, wanted to overthrow that government. And most of us who were patriotic enough, we said, okay. We were told by our leaders, that I was a young officer, that if Kenya goes to the dogs, we all go to the dogs.
Yeah.
Believe me not, I passed through museum here with my gun. We suppressed that mutiny. We redeemed the KBC. We brought Ms. Mo here with a trembling voice that sasa serikali iko sawa sawa. We do not know what would have happened. Those who wanted to overthrow that government, I do not know whether we could be having a better, but I think it was God. And then we came back again. Now, with patriotism again, I was chosen by United Nations to go and represent Kenya as a military observer in a country that was fighting, Eritrea and Ethiopia. We stayed for, what we went through, I cannot tell you. Lastly, I went to Rwanda for 1 year to teach the Rwandan military so that they can come to a certain level to be accepted to offer peace support in Sudan. We did that. And my last mission, Karanja, I'm one of the officers who captured Kisimayu. What we went through there, I can tell you, Karanja, it is on 3 bases. One is God, who is in heaven. Second is discipline of the forces, which is lacking to our institution. Thirdly is our professionalism. I thank, even I pray for those who are in there. We went through hell. But why? Because we defend our country. I wish most of our institutions that are lacking ethics, and they're very weak, I don't know why, and it resolves to what Karanja said. These representatives of ours, although he doesn't want to blame them so much, wako na shida. Our institutions are very, very weak. They are not independent. If you are chosen as a police traffic officer, of manning the dignity and ethics of the police, and I'm sure they are taught, I'm not blaming them. 95% of the police force, very good. Just a few elements, including their leaders, they are not doing right. 2, they are not patriotic enough to our country. Why should a policeman surely ask for 50 shillings? He has a salary. These other Kenyans don't have the privilege of that job. It hurts me. Let me tell you honestly. I'm not afraid.
Okay.
It hurts me.
When you hear that, there is a reason why I ask you that question, and you brought about the issue of discipline and patriotism, and you talk about the institutionalism of having the institution having structures.
Yeah.
Karanja, that's why I was quiet, because I wanted him to give us a background of how we are supposed to be, even as a nation, so that we can replicate the same. When we don't have discipline, when you don't have focus, and you don't have structures in an institution, it's more of a resemblance of a country.
Absolutely. I believe that our leaders, or the followers of the people, as I really refer to them, politicians are not leaders, as I said earlier.
Yeah.
I do not fail to hold them to account. They are absolutely, there's rot in our politics. So I'm not suggesting that they are not rotten. There's a lot of rot. We see it. We see it right here in this headline. So I'm not suggesting that the politicians are blameless. There's actually a lot what I'm suggesting is that there's a lot of blame to go around. But I'm also arguing that what we have to do is to build the vessel that carries the institutions, that carry, that create an environment that better holds these people, especially politicians, accountable. Politicians are politicians, and by the way, politicians are politicians absolutely everywhere you go in the world, including in the West. So politicians, they politic and they follow. They don't lead. But we have a real responsibility. So, for example, after every election that has happened, and we can go back all the way to 2007, we have an institution, and I do believe that our constitutional institutions are actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. We have an institution called the IBC. It was called something different. The I forget what it was called back then in 2007. The politicians...
IEC, it was Independent Electoral Commission, IEC.
Right, exactly. The politicians were the bad actors in that election, and yet who was punished? It was the leadership of the Electoral Commission at the time. In 2012, again, I think 2012 was the only one that was not contentious, if I remember correctly. But I think even then, the IBC was ousted. In 2017, there's
a Kivitu Commission,
right?
The Isakasan Commission as well,
right? In 2017, there were people.
2007 was Kivitu in 2007,
yes, right?
Then later on came Isaac Hassan, exactly,
right? And all of them were hounded out of their jobs, despite the fact that they were not the bad actors, right? The bad actors.
Someone had to take the blame.
That's a problem. Because if that's how we go, with someone having to take the blame, and then we go to the lowest, in that situation, the lowest, the least of the actors is the one that was held accountable, was the fall guy, rather than the political actors. And so that is problematic. When we accept holding people who don't have sufficient power accountable because somebody has to take the blame, rather than actually apportioning the blame where it belongs.
It should be personal accountability.
It is a lack of accountability.
Okay, so this is a question I want to ask all of you, because we are all patriotic Kenyans. There's no doubt about that.
I agree.
So what role do we have to play to punish those who have bad manners? And I use that word strongly. People who have bad manners, because when you don't, we elect you to represent us, to give us good services, and to be the face of this nation, and to uphold the 10th Constitution that you're not talking, you're saying that you're not much a fan of, but for us it is. How then do we play a key role? Starting with you, Major. Okay. You and I as Wajiku, what do we have a role to play to punish the bad manners?
We have a role to play.
Which one is that?
And before I go to that, allow me to pay respect to Kivuitu. Kivuitu did a good job.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, one day I was in Ugandan house. I was in full uniform. There's something I was going to collect there for the office. And I met Kivuitu. I stopped him and asked, Kivuitu, you said you don't know what happened, who won or who did not win. Can you explain to me? Because I was in uniform, he respected me. He was walking very slowly. We went to a corner somewhere, and he told me, I don't know what happened there. That the votes were taken to bombers. Whatever happened there, me, I do not know. I do not know. Because I was perturbed. This man is in charge of the whole process. He's saying he doesn't know who won. What is this? Then good enough, I asked him. But I think I concurred with what he said. Because those people who were doing bad things there, he didn't know what was happening there. So to come back to your question, and Karanja said something here, we are here to shape the opinion of Wanjiku. I think if you allow us to ventilate or to bring about the rot that is in the country, we should allow us here with my friend Karanja to give suggestions as how we should be able to go to 2027 peacefully and look at these things critically. And I'm telling you, without peace, we cannot have a durable democracy. Without peace, we cannot have a durable democracy, the democracy that we all cherish. And peace begins with you. Your question now, your answer. Let us all have the attitude of following the Constitution of 2010.
Yeah.
However, it has gaps. I agree, it has gaps. For example, Karanja, you will see that the country is saying that our youth do not have jobs. Look at the president. He has to go to 2 terms. I'm not talking 2 terms which is being said. In the Constitution, he has to take 2 terms, isn't it?
Yeah.
The governor, 2 terms. What about the MPs? Forever, they are there. They have the wealth.
Yeah.
They have the money. They can confuse Wanjiku. The women rep, the MCs, forever. And we are saying these young people need jobs.
Yeah.
So I agree that our Constitution of 2010 is not a perfect. It has to be. And you know, when it was being drafted or crafted at Bomas, I remember Hayati Baba said, we don't have time. We have accomplished almost 80% of what we want, and we are nearing the general election. Let us pass it the way it is. Then we shall come and revisit it and amend it.
Yeah.
What is the proportion of percentage of amendment that our representatives from the national government have done? I think it's very minimal.
Okay.
So, one thing, let us follow the rules of the Constitution to the letter. Let us use simple tools that we have. We have the national flag. What does it tell us? We have the national anthem. I wish I had that bit, I could recite it here. We have our national anthem. That the words which are in the national anthems, they mean sweet voices only. As a patriotic Kenyan, we should always follow those words. You understand? So give us time with Karanja, we give solutions. One day, Our Excellency, the President Ruto, he was so mad and said, you people munanipinga kila wakati. I want people who can give solutions. Let us see what we can do with this pace of the grand finale of peace so that we move our country beyond 2027 peacefully.
Okay.
Let us discuss, give us time, we discuss with Karanja to give the opinion. I can give you the last one. We saw Sifuna and many others.
Yes.
On the right hand, he has a national flag, big. I'm proposing to all our politicians in their political arenas, in the meetings, first, let us begin with the national anthem. Let us open the ground with peace. And every Kenyan should raise this flag. So you should raise this handkerchief. Our white is 50 shillings. And when we buy, all of us, the meeting is like this. We have work for our children here. And this is a white Karanja, which symbolizes peace. So I'm calling upon right now, because we are giving opinion for peace in 2027. Let every Kenyan, when he's going to these political rallies, have this as a tool, as a gun. Wave it, and everybody will know you are a peaceful. Even the goons will fear you. The goons will fear you. He comes there with a stone, you dwell, watch out.
With the white handkerchief.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
These are the tools.
Thank you. Okay. I think that's a very good point, Karanja. If you hear what he said, that's why most of the time I was quiet, because there's a salient point there. You talked about the issue of goons, and the president also talked about it on Sunday. He said that they must be crushed, headed towards the election. Last question, the point. You and I, as a Wanjiku, we have a role to play, right?
Absolutely.
Go ahead, under 1 minute.
Well, as Wanjiku, we have to be accountable in ourselves, in our behavior, but also we have to allow institutions, especially constitutional committees and institutions, to do their work. The NCIC, the Ethics Commission, we have those. We have to allow investigations to happen. I remember, I forget there was a politician that had been imprisoned, and there was no doubt, I forget who it was a politician, forgive me for not having this at my fingertips, from Western, that went to jail. There was no counter to the fact that he was guilty of the crime he had been convicted for. But I remember people gunning for him to be released simply because alikuwa mtu wetu. I really should have had this at my fingertips, but I didn't. But that culture is a culture that exists where even when we know that politicians that we support are guilty or have done things. We have the case of Babu Owino, for example, shooting somebody in a club. And as far as I can tell, there has been no accountability for that. This is something that happened in the public domain. And so, but who defends these politicians? It is Wanjiku. And so until we have a culture where we are willing to see absolutely everyone held to account for whatever it is that they do, wherever it is that they do, regardless of our support for them, we have to be a country, as Wanjiku, we have to be a country, a society that is led by principles, not personalities. And the problem is that we currently have allowed a politics of personalities, a cult of personality type leadership, rather than a principled leadership. And that is the role of Wanjiku.
I have a few comments here. I have a few comments because of time. Just 1 minute, Major. I have a few comments here from our viewers. One of them is saying that the integrity of our leaders is only on paper. Mostly when seeking for those posts, they present themselves very well. But after they get them, the integrity is gone. Another one says that, good morning, KBC. I think politics and politicians on matters ethics, leadership, and public trust relies significantly on our culture. On our culture. That's why people look to their politicians on a perspective of how they understand them. Today, this link is surely loose, since most educated people would rather hold to be passed on skills to lead instead. Another one says, instead of relying on what tradition there is, okay, I didn't understand that, on tribal level. I think he's talking about tradition and we are not so tribal. Another gentleman called Isaac says that talking about the power of the citizens on this Wanjiku phrase, would citizens rely purely on what the politicians say, or is it right to also look to where we are headed as a people? Question. I recall, for instance, that's around 2020, during 2022, the corona, he's talked about, when there was a global threat of what the resources we have and how we would be at a danger of exhausting significant resources, hence the need to look to alternatives. What you talked about, you need to have an alternative. You said what the president said, that what alternatives are you trying to give as a nation? Same also should be about the virus and other planets where life is habitable. So we need to be flexible and be in a position to give solutions. But we just need to wind up. Okay. And I'm reminded to tell you that we need to say thank you, because you're one of those people on 1st of August, 1982, at 3 a.m. When the attempted mutiny happened, and by midday you neutralized everything, and KBC still stands because of the people like you.
And now, parting short, 2 items only. Please, I'm calling to our Excellency the President, plus the religious leaders. If there is any time in this country that we need national prayer, it is now. Let him call the national prayers. We come together again and call the blessings of God. 2, I am the Secretary General of the Veterans from the Rakanidi County. And we have done so many parades of the presidents. And these veterans, I'm not saying that those who are surrounding him don't give him advice. Others give him positive, others negative. I'm calling His Excellency the President to call the veterans who have fought for this country all with their lives. Unfortunately, some of them are dead. They are not with us anymore. Some of them are struggling in Somalia to defend this country. He has called all other people to State House. We are not going there to get money, but we want to dine with our president. Dining with our president, we shall tell him what we think can push this country. We shall, you see, a president is not a super god. Wanjiku thinks the president is a superman. He's a human being. When you abuse him, he can react to anything. We should also respect the presidency and the president as a person. You understand? I'm not trying to defend the president, but I'm calling him, and I know his intelligent people are looking at this, make a point of calling all the veterans to come to State House. We shall tell him some of the things that can grow peace in this country, especially as we approach the general elections. We are not politicians. We are people who have defended this country with our own lives. And when he calls other people, and veterans are outside there, we feel that.
Thank you.
So the president, wherever you are, please
make
a point of calling all the veterans in this Kenya who have served us. Most of them have died.
Thank you.
We shall come there to the State House, not to dine, but to be happy with you. You are our commander. And those politicians and civilians in this country go to the meetings with a white handkerchief. On the left and the right, be a national flag.
Absolutely.
And you shall move and call us, people like Karanja, we can give you more answers to the problems we have in this country so that we can go.
You know what I like about the discussion is it has given us some kind of historical background where we've moved as a nation, and some of the things that we need to do right, Karanja. Even the first time, actually when we met, I asked you, what is our image of Kenya out there? And what did you say?
I actually believe, my experience is that the image of Kenya out there is far
on the global arena.
On the global arena.
Tunachoma sana huko.
Tunachoma huko nyumbani.
Lakini our athletics wameleta bendera and congratulations.
We know how to fight our internal wars.
They are very good ambassadors.
And by the way, the MP I was talking about was John Waluke. When he was convicted, and he was convicted without question, people came to his defense, including very senior, well-known politicians, arguing that the sentence should be reduced. Not that he was not guilty, but that the sentence was too harsh.
Yes.
That's an example of lack of accountability.
All right. That's my friend, Major. He's also a Major General Waluke. He was here. I think he'll be here tomorrow as well. I'll pass that message.
Yeah, we need to talk about this as we go there.
Thank you so much. Gentlemen, we have to wrap it up there. It's been a good one. But I thanked you, but I think you did not get it. 1982, 1st of August, at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
You were still a young man then.
I was a young man.
And you carried your gun
all the way from... I was only married with one child.
And then you came here. And here we are enjoying this space because of the people like you.
And we left the GSU down there. I don't know how they are taking you now.
They're still there
with their tents. Or they have been built good houses. Because we left them with the tents. And they're doing a good job.
No, they're still there.
And the police officers in this country are doing tremendous job. If they go on strike one day...
No.
Let us wish them the very best. Let us wish them the very best.
Major Retired Peter Mwithi, thank you so much. Asante sana for being part of the show, and as well as Daniel Gashusha, who is a journalist. The hardest thing, I have to admit, is to ask your fellow journalist a question. Apana, ni ngumu. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you for having us.
Good boy. All right.
Get ready for a captivating continental football extravaganza. KBC Channel 1 brings you exclusive coverage of the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations, WAFCON. From Sunday the 26th of July to Sunday the 16th of August 2026, welcome to Morocco is the battleground as Nigeria defend their title against 15 other nations fighting to lift the prestigious trophy. who will be crowned Queens of African Football. Courtesy of the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports. Watch all the action and rally on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
In a world where news is ever-changing, staying informed is more important than ever.
Join us every week on News Check, your go-to show for the latest in current affairs, breaking news and in-depth analysis.
A warm welcome to KBC News Check.
From politics to global events, we bring you content that matter to you.
We're not just speaking about the governance and how we want to see it, but want to actually participate.
Get your facts, hear from the experts, and really understand what is happening around you.
We need to change our system first. You have to do the impossible to make sure the message is home.
Stay ahead, stay informed, stay engaged.
Will these people, everybody agree?
Just listen to me.
Let's give him a chance to clear the air.
Catch News Check every Tuesday and Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Only on KBC Channel 1.
Well, good morning to you too, indeed, Victor. We're coming to you live from Embu County. You're wondering why we're in the chili farms of Embu County. It's because of a government initiative, an ambitious one at that. You do know that the government is planning to increase the land under irrigation to approximately over 2 million to ensure that food security and stability within the agricultural sector, which is one of the key agendas of this current administration. Now, there is a program that was kick-started by the State Department of Irrigation, that is the smallholder irrigation projects, which targeted 4 counties within the Mount Kenya region, and to be specific, in Embu, Tharaka Nithi, Meru, as well as Kirinyaga. Those are among the counties that were targeted through this particular initiative to ensure that the acreage under those particular irrigation sectors are expanded to boost security, food security, and also production of key products, which is the main earner for this particular sector. Now, this particular irrigation project that was started off with a burden-sharing financial cost, where the farmers were required at least to contribute 50%, where the government and development partners were also coming up with 50% of the funds. Now, to see the seriousness of farmers of this particular area, they were required at least to contribute 10% to show the seriousness of how they want to venture into this particular project. It has been a couple of years now. We want to see how that progress has been going on through this particular smallholder irrigation project. You do remember that we spoke to the CPA, Fantas Kimodo, the PS for State Department for Irrigation, a few months back in terms of how the government is implementing this particular cycle. Now, remember that there were 24 projects within the Mount Kenya region. 19 have been completed, 4 are remaining, and they will be completed by December before this particular project is inculcated in other parts of the country. Let's get to speak to some of the farmers here and learn about their experience through this particular project. We'll start off with a farmer here. Utaweza kutueleza majina yako, utuambie hii sekta ya ukulima umekuwa ukifanya kwa miaka ngapi?
Majina yangu ni Patrick Gitonga. Mimi ni mkulima wa hii mmoja wa member wa Gatene Farmers Cooperative, na hii ukulima tumefanya for the past years tumefanya kama ile tu kienyeji kutegemea mvua, maana tumekuwa hatujapata faida yote. Tukiangalia mashamba iko tu iko mbea, iko kama tuko hard areas, lakini wakati tulistart mradi wa irrigation tumeona mambo ikianza kubadilika. For imagine imekuja just last year tumeanza kuitumia, na ikiwa mwaka kama tumemaliza mwaka kwanza tukia mwaka wa pili tumeanza kuona mabadiliko.
Manufaa gani umeweza kuona wakati mradi huu ulianza?
Kama sasa hii unaweza panda kitu yako wakati wote ambapo kuna maji kila wakati. Kwa soko unapata mali, unaweza peleka kwa soko unapata pesa. na enye haukuwa unapata hapo mbeleni. Yeah.
Uliamua kuweza kupanda kabeji kwa nini?
Niliona kulingana na customer demand na supply kwa our local markets. Ilikuwa cabbage ina peak, halafu cabbage haitaji mahitajio mingi sana. Cost yake ya production iko low. Yeah.
Kwa nini uliamua kuweza kuingia kwa hii sekta na nini ilikusaidia uweze kunufaika hadi leo?
Okay, kuongea ukweli farming vile Kenya iko sahi, ukulima ndio iko na pesa. Mimi niliamua kuingia kwa hii sekta na nilime kilimo, na sio ati kulima tu, kilimo biashara. So hii mali imenipa hapa yangu ya kula ni ya kuuza na ndio nipate faida. Ile kitu nyingine ilifanya ilinisaidia kuingia na kufaulu ni uwezekano wa maji, ambapo hapa tukua na maji ya irrigation hata kidogo. Yeah.
Wito kwa wakulima wenzako wenye wanakuangalia kwa sasa itakuwa ni gani?
Inaweza si wakulima tujitume shambani. Mashamba iko na pesa. Population ya Kenya ina grow in a very high rate na mashamba iongezeki. So food inakuwa ni challenge. So mimi ningewaomba wakulima, kama uko na nafasi, kama uko na uwezo na maji, tafadhali tuingia kwa shamba. Yeah.
Shukran sana, asante sana. Let's also get to speak to James Ndwiga. He's the chairman of Gatene Irrigation Farmers Cooperative. If you can come here, sir, kindly. Talk to Kenyans. Gatene is among these particular key projects through the smallholder irrigation farm. Kwa kizungu, kwa Kiswahili, yoyote yenye unaweza. Uweza kutueleza manufaa gani wakulima wameweza kuona hapa Embu?
My name is James Ndwiga, chairman of Gatene Irrigation. Now, since we started this project, and which got completed last year, right now people are able to plant many seasons. Unlike before, we were only used to 2 seasons. Today we can go even 4 seasons. And people are now able to satisfy the local markets here. And we wanted to improve more to go to even to outside markets. Yes.
And Gatene Irrigation Cooperatives, how many farmers do you have?
Right now we are having 345 farmers. Yes.
What are some of the produce are they producing through their farms?
At the moment, there are many all the kind of horticultural crops are being grown by different people. Yes.
And in terms of what the impact this project has had on this particular area in the larger Embu, what are some of the benefits you have seen?
The cash flow for the members has improved. Unlike before, people used to go for manual labor. Today, they are not doing that. They are depending from income from the crops they are growing. Yes.
And in terms of a future ensuring that this project continues, because sustainability is a key issue, to ensure that this goes on, even after the State Department of Irrigation has moved these particular projects to other parts of the country, given that the success we are seeing here in Gatene, what would your message be to other farmers across the country?
My message to other farmers is now the farmers in other parts of the country, yes, they go this way of irrigation, not to depend on only on the rain. Yes, because there is money in this one, and there is employment, unlike the white-collar job, which are not available. There is jobs are available in the chambers. Yes, so let us go to the farming, because everybody is able to be employed in the chamber. Yes.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Thank you for talking to KBC Channel 1. There you have heard it. There is money in farming. That is the key message from the Gatene Irrigation scheme that has been going on at least for a number of years. And you've just heard from the farm as well as the chairman that this particular project has been able to sustain the community within this particular area. Remember that the smallholder irrigation project that was implemented in 4 counties that I named earlier, that is Embu, Kirinyaga, Tharaka Nithi and Meru counties, at least phase 1 to phase 3 costed 12.3 million euros. In phase 4, it costed 8.5 million euros. Now, the government is also considering to move this particular area to another agricultural rich zone, which is the western part of the country. And later on, we'll be getting an opportunity to speak to the Principal Secretary from the State Department of Irrigation, that is CPA Fantas Kimotho. As and when we do, we'll inform you more. But for now, back to you, Victor.
That's Abdiaziz Hashim coming to us live from Embu regarding that matter of smallholder irrigation projects. On that same note, I want us to focus on matters that pertain to land, given that when you look at land, it's more than an economic asset. It represents culture, intergenerational wealth, dignity, and even in some cases, political power. However, when it comes to land disputes, it's not simply about who is holding the title deed, but also should legal ownership override, say, a community's attachment to land from which they were displaced. That is why we are asking, can statutory ownership coexist with ancestral claims when it comes to matters of land? That is the basis of our conversation today, of which I am having with Turunga Ithagi, who is an advocate and mediator. Karibu sana to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Karibu sana.
My name is Turunga Ithagi, as you mentioned.
Yes.
I'm glad to be here.
Karibu sana. And also Rebecca Wanjiku, who is has been a land claimant. Karibu sana.
Naitwa Rebecca Wanjiku.
Yes.
Mimi ni mkazi wa Kakuzi.
Kakuzi.
Yeah.
Asante sana kwa kuja hapa KBC.
Asante.
And also Kimathi Kithure, who is a human rights defender. Karibu sana.
Thanks for having me.
You're doing great this morning.
Yes, thank you.
Let's get into the conversation, and I want to start with you, Wakili. You know, when it comes to matters land and the Constitution, it does protect the right to property under Article 40. And on the other hand, Article 67 empowers the National Land Commission to investigate historical land injustices. Now, when you look at the Constitution, how should we reconcile as a country? How can we reconcile the protection of registered property with the rights, the need to remedy historical land injustices without weakening other principles?
Thank you, Mike. So under Article 67 of the Constitution,
yes,
the National Land Commission is established, and it's operationalized by the National Land Commission Act and the Land Registration Act 2012. Yeah. And the mandate of the commission basically is to manage public land. It also has the mandate to investigate and give restitution for both current and historical injustices. And now the gist of it is that there's no time limitation whatsoever. Parliament had tried to cap this at 5 years.
Yes.
But now with the human rights issue or the historical land injustices issue, there's no time limit. So you can bring a claim under historical land injustice from way back. For example, now like my co-panelist
yes.
From Kakuzi, recently they got a ruling in Murang'a whereby the High Court in Murang'a declined to grant them leave to file a substantive judicial review, and also declined to grant them a stay of execution. Basically, they were seeking a stay of execution against the rulings that came up in 4 claims that had been filed with the National Land Commission, whereby the National Land Commission ordered, among other things, that Kakuzi should cede 3,200 acres to the locals. This is a paltry, maybe quarter of the entire estate that they own. This is not the first time that they've been in trouble. In 2019, they were sued again by about 85 locals for killings and sexual violence. Their parent company in the UK, called Canalia PLC, managed to settle this at around 696 million. So, as it is, the reason they were seeking stay, and perhaps the reason they wanted the decision of the commission quashed, is because it may open a Pandora's box for class action claims that may come. And basically, they are very expensive. There are many groups of people that may come claiming. And as such, that is why they are seeking to find a way to block all this. However, the High Court asserted that the mandate of the National Land Commission under Article 67(2) was properly exercised by the Commission, even in not giving these orders, ordering restitution. And also, there was another order that 50 acres will be ceded to the county government of Murang'a, where in exchange for 5 acres, which I think have already been identified. This is for purposes of public utilities and all that, and planning, and even schools and all that. So, as it is, there's criticism on the Commission, since it was established, that it hasn't done much. But we are starting to see that reparations will be done. Yes.
Rebecca, you've been involved in these matters. Umekuwa kwa haya maneno ya inahusiana na ardhi. Ukiangalia venye haya maneno yanaenda, unajua watu wengi wanga wamehusika katika haya maneno ya ardhi. Ukiangalia kupata haki kulingana na wewe inafanana aje? Ndio useme tumekuwa na haya maneno ya ardhi na tulikuwa tunataka haki, sasa tumeipata. Haki inakaa aje kulingana na wewe?
Sasa sisi tumepigania hii shamba yetu wakati mrefu, kama miaka 10 imeisha, na inaonekana nini vile na kutoka wazazi wetu wanyang'anywe hii shamba. Kama baba yangu alikuwa supervisor huko Kakuzi, akakufa, akaacha mama yangu. Alipoacha mama yangu na watoto, Kakuzi wakakuja wakafukuza mama yangu. Walimtupanisha kama kitu mbaya. Walikuja wakamuita tu kama ni wanampeleka mahali pazuri. Wakamwambia, Nyambura, ebu toa watoto wako na vyombo zako tukupeleke mahali pazuri pa kukaa. Lakini wakatupanisha mama yangu mahali, walimtupanisha mpaka mama yangu akashikwa na depression. Kwa hivyo kutoka wakati huo mama yangu, watoto wake hawakusoma tena. Tukanyang'anywa huko kwetu. Tulikuwa na shamba mingi sana mpaka mahali kunaitwa Jericho huko Kakuzi. Tulikuwa na mashamba zetu mingi, lakini Kakuzi kuonyesha wanakupenda, lakini kumbe wanataka watunyang'anye mashamba zetu. Walichukua watu wengi wakawatupanisha. Mama yetu akatupanishwa hivi hivi. Wengine wakapelekwa milimani. Sasa mama yangu vile alishikwa na depression, angeweza kwenda mahali. Mama yangu akakaa kama ameshikwa na wazimu. Kwa hivyo mama yangu maisha yake ikaisha hapo hapo mpaka mama yangu akakufa. Kwa hivyo sisi tumekaa na shida ya hii mashamba. Tumekaa na shida sana, sababu hata njia, barabara zote wametunyima mpaka barabara za kwenda huko milimani.
Ndio sasa tukuja kuona kulingana na wewe ndio haki itendeke. Haki na kulingana na wewe, haki, justice kwa hii maneno yote ya land, kulingana na wewe inafaa kukua vipi?
Ndio haki itendeke, ni serikali tu wakubali waturudishie shamba zetu, ndio haki itendeke. Hata Mungu akiwa mbinguni aone kweli wamefanya haki. Serikali wakubali tu watupatie title D, sababu tulishinda kesi na tuliwekwa kwa Kenya gazeti. Kwa hivyo watupatie tu shamba zetu, ndio haki itendeke, na sisi tusikie kweli tuko Kenya yetu na tunafurahia Kenya yetu, na mpaka wazee wetu, sababu kuna wazee kabisa hawana mali, hata wao wasikie wako Kenya yao. Kwa hivyo watupatie tu na wakubali watupe title deeds. Yeah.
Kimathi, when you look at matters of land and human rights standards on it, in a way it has linked culture, housing, food, security and identity on it. As a country, how are we going to incorporate these principles in land governance while respecting the right to private property?
So if we apply the human right-based approach to that issue, then one of the things is that we have to shift from looking at it as just a negotiable commodity or property. and look at it as a means in which a community is able to enjoy their dignity and other fundamental rights, including the right to practice their culture. Now, if you look at that, then that means you have to apply the human rights-based approach to the whole issue, in where such issues are involved. And one of the things that we must note is that what is happening in this case is not unique. It happens many times within our country and outside our country as well. In Kenya, we have got other communities that could be categorized as indigenous peoples or minorities.
Yes.
They could include people like Ogiek, the Maasai, the Songwer, depending on how the extent to which they are marginalized and their way of life differs from the rest of the community. And therefore, when such issues are being dealt with, we have to look at the compliance with the international obligations as a country that we have to abide by. And here we'll be looking at, for example, the UN Declaration on the rights of indigenous peoples. We're looking at the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, and we also look at the ILO Convention number 169. Now, if you put in consideration of this framework, then you have to look at certain things when you're discussing it. Things like the procedural issues, like were the people given, did they have free, informed prior consent? Was there adequate compensation? Was there public participation? And in cases where that has been violated, usually there has to be consequences, and we've seen that happen. For example, we've had issues like Endorois, where the government of Kenya was found to be in violation because they evicted the Endorois community from their land for game reserve. And that means they violated their right to ancestral land in that case, and of course the country was found to be in violation of that obligation. It has happened in other countries as well. For example, in Nicaragua, where the Inter-American Court also argued that where it is an ancestral land, it carries the same weight as where you have got a statutory title. Yeah, so those are things that have to be considered. So they are not new, but usually they have to be considered from a human rights-based approach, not just as a negotiable commodity.
Very important. And Ithaki, Kenyan courts have increasingly emphasized that having a title deed does not automatically settle every dispute. In some cases, sometimes the courts have examined the root of title, how that title was acquired, and in essence, the ownership of that land. My question to you is, should every title deed remain open to historical scrutiny, or certainly should legal certainty prevail?
For me, and certainly, I believe every title should remain open to scrutiny. Yeah, basically, holding that document, you can even have acquired it fraudulently, and that is why it can it can definitely even be cancelled because of having acquired, if you're able to prove that it's been acquired fraudulently. In this instance, we're talking about historical injustices, where the people are saying that they were forcefully evicted, they were displaced, their houses were burnt, and all sorts of atrocities happened when this land was being acquired. That was back, I believe, in 1902. And then the leases that were issued were for around 941 years. Some astronomical figures that do not really make sense. The Constitution of Kenya 2010 came in and capped the leases at around 99 years for foreigners. So why would we say that this title should not be scrutinized? They definitely need to be scrutinized. And I need also emphasize on the need and the role that the court has played as well in doing away with the capping of the years. For example, in other cases, for example, in pension claims, you cannot bring an action maybe 3 to 10 years after the fact. That is the limitation of actions or the time statute. However, if you bring it and you're able to package it as a human rights issue, like what some people are doing in Tanzania, happened to be the lawyer for a group called Payroll 301, former East African workers from Tanzania who've never received their pensions to date. They are going after the colonialists, that is the crown agents, with whom they saved their pensions. But up to date, payment has not been done. However, having been able to package it as a human rights issue because they are suffering since 1977 to date, we were able to have crown agents go into liquidation. Now we are dealing with a liquidator who's admitted our claims. And we hope that restitution will happen even in future. So I believe this title should be scrutinized.
And also, when you look at matters of land, you know, some of these injustices occurred decades before even the modern land registry was brought about. So communities often rely on oral history, while the owners now rely on documents. From where you stand, how can communities fairly prove that ancestral land, it's theirs, they occupied it, when formal records are limited?
Well, way before there were no records, it was all community land. So if a certain community is known to have been living somewhere, however you acquired it, because these leases were being given, they were being issued, and they were being issued for various reasons. We are not negating the fact that these people have also helped us. They've created employment, there are industries that can be built, but we also need to work as our own. This is our land, we are the people of the soil. Let's have a system or a structure where everyone benefits, right? Yeah, we come up with our own industries, whatever we're given, we utilize it well. One of the other orders that was issued by the National Land Commission is that the Ministry of Lands and the Ministry of Interior should vet these claimants and know who are the vulnerable people. This, of course, may open another Pandora's box because we know our country. However, we believe that the vulnerable people, the owners of the land, the communities that are there, should get their rightful share of their ancestral land. Yes.
Rebecca, katika hizi pilka za kupigania haki yenu katika maneno ya ardhi, ni nini unaweza sema imewasaidia sana katika harakati zenu za kupigania haki yenu?
Tumesaidika sana sababu ya mawakili wetu wamepambana mpaka tukaona sasa tumepata hiyo shamba. Na tukawa sasa tunaona na tunajua kweli tutarudishiwa mashamba zetu. Kwa hivyo mawakili wetu tunaweza washukuru sana, wamefanya kazi kubwa sana, na tena serikali nayo imefanya vizuri sana kwa kusema tupewe shamba yetu. Sababu hata wao wamechangia. Na tunataka sasa ndio tuishike hivi, watuletee title D. Ndio tuone sasa kweli ni kuingia tu kwa shamba yetu.
Kimathi, you know, some of these issues regarding land, mostly they pit two groups with legitimate interest on the land. But on one hand, there's a displaced community seeking justice, and the current owners who may have acquired that land lawfully. So my question to you is, how do we avoid resolving one injustice by creating another?
That can be done. Of course, the issues cannot be rushed, and that's why the due process has to be followed.
Yes.
And you also asked a question about how we can be able to recognize the customary rights, you know, in the context of laws whereby someone who is also holding a title, you know, that is issued from the government. And in a good country, we have to be able to accommodate the different things that are around us. And I'll give an example. One of these is usually the issues to do with the Marriages Act. You know, it recognizes, for example, that you can have, you know, a marriage, you know, in the customary sense. You know, you could be also belong to the different religion and all that, Christian, Islamic and all that. So what the law did is to acknowledge that we live in a context where all these have to coexist. But then there has to be a way in which they coexist in harmony.
Yes.
And therefore what needs to be done is that our laws usually recognize that. You know, the Constitution does not contradict. It recognizes such things whereby, so when handling those issues, then they have to look at, they have to recognize the indigenous people as part of the owners. And that has to be respected by even the business enterprises when they go to an area. So, and those are the issues that also have to be considered by the courts of law when they have to decide on a matter. So they don't just look at who has got the paper, but they also have to look at the context as well.
And Ithagi, what principles should guide the balancing of these competing rights?
Well, the principles that should be there should be fairness and equitable ownership of land, first and foremost. No right should override the other, yes, definitely. But human rights, as we said, are fundamental and core in nature. And they are rights that are not derogable as well. You cannot simply deny the community their land because you are an investor. So due process ought also to have been followed. And then the fact that the lease period is actually quite astronomical also negates the fact that due procedure was followed. Because if it was followed, we should have gotten leases of up to 99 years renewable. That is, if it's upon expiry, you can reapply for renewal. But now getting to a point where the communities are being affected so gravely that they have no, they're saying they have no hope, basically. Up to now, they have no titles. All their cries for them to have their titles now and to own the ownership in their motherland. Yes.
And when you look at matters of land disputes, sometimes even those who own these lands did not participate in the injustices that that sometimes are talked about. So my question to you is, when you look at the current landowner, should they surrender their property in a manner, and they had no involvement in the original historical injustice? Should they surrender their property for historical injustices, or should the state provide remedies?
Irregular is irregular. If you acquire something irregularly, whether it was you or through proxy or through your father, your ancestors, it was irregular. Yeah. So if we are going to involve the government, let the government harmonize together with these stakeholders so that they know what is being ceded and or what they can pay these people to move away and resettle the locals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rebecca, ukiangalia hiyo process yote na hiyo wakati imechukua, unaweza sema imeathiri aje wale watu mlikuwa pamoja na wao mnapigania nao, ikikuja ni mambo ya kiuchumi, ikikuja ni mambo ya kutafuta mahali kwa kukaa, hiyo kungojea haki itendeke imewaathiri kivipi?
Imetuathiri sana, kwa sababu kama saa hii hata chairman wetu asikii vizuri, sababu hata akona stress, anasemanga anataka tu aone tumeingia kwa mashamba zetu. Tena imetuathiri sana. Watoto wetu wanazungukanga wakienda mbali sana, wakienda mpaka shule. Inatuathiri sababu hatuna hata mahospitali huko. Hatuna hata mashule ziko mbali na wale wamefunga njia kila mahali. Kwa hivyo hakuna mtu anaweza pitia. Hata wale wanatoka huko wakienda kazi mahali fulani wanapita njia kubwa, njia refu sana. Kwa hivyo imetuadhiri kabisa. Tumeadhirika sana.
Kabisa. And Kimathi, you know, courts can resolve legal disputes regarding matters of land, but sometimes they do not always heal historical injustices or grievances, or even rebuild trust within communities. Should we rely more on mediation? And I'll ask the same question to you, but I want to hear from him first. Should we rely more on mediation, truth-telling, and community reconciliation processes rather than litigation?
Yes, I agree, Mike. So there has to be, we have to apply the alternative dispute resolution mechanisms in this case, just to ensure that there's a solution that is able to factor in all the needs of both sides, and in an amicable way. So, and therefore, mediation and other ways, they have to be employed. So I think that also helps so that ultimately, whatever the decision is arrived at, both sides, as you said, there's always contention between both sides.
Yeah.
They have to coexist at the end of the day. It's not about who wins, who loses, but how can everyone's right be considered? How can everyone's need and the interest be factored in? And that, if you employ other alternative dispute resolution mechanisms, then becomes much easier to do that.
You are a mediator.
Yes, sir.
When it comes to matters of land, should we concentrate more on mediation, reconciliation building processes, as opposed to putting more focus on litigation?
Well, mediation is an alternative dispute resolution, very much encouraged by the court recently. The purpose of mediation is to have the parties themselves come up with solutions to their own problems. So a perfect example would be the 1984 East African Mediation Agreement. This was entered into after the collapse of the former East African community. However, despite the mediation, much of what was captured in the mediation agreement by a guy called Dr. Victor Umbrich, it was between the three heads of states, that's Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. Most of what was agreed on was never followed. And then again, where does it acquire the force of the law? Where is it taken to? Which court will adopt it as an order of the court or what was agreed upon? So that is why we are seeing so many people are still suffering, claiming pensions. And the purpose of that mediation agreement was to divide the assets of the member states of the community upon the collapse. So each country kept what they had to keep. But some of the countries, after the allocation, did not give it to the vulnerable people or the owners of the contributions for pensions.
Yeah.
So these are some of the challenges that we may have with mediation. Well, we may agree, but at what point will it acquire the force of the law and become an order of the court, and you can execute against it, on it?
Would it 100%, would mediation 100% solve land dispute?
As long as there's agreement. I mean, if Kakuzi would agree with the community, we are going to give you this, and they are not objecting to it, why not? Yeah.
And Kimathi, from this, there are expectations, especially they rise immediately after maybe a favorable court decision, but then again, implementation can take time, because sometimes there are appeals, there are surveys, and administrative processes. When it comes to managing expectations, how can communities manage expectations while these legal administrative processes continue?
What I would say is, at times those processes can take long.
Yeah.
And if you adopt a victim-centered approach to dealing with the issue, then you have to look at their rights once they're violated, and the longer it takes, the more it becomes difficult to address it. Now, if you listen to the issues that they're going through, there's so many issues that are affected. Rights here. There is even public utilities, things like hospitals and schools that they actually need titles for them to continue offering the service, and then there's the issue of the access. So we're talking of, for example, the right to education. Now, for a child who, grows up there and is not able to enjoy the right to education, and they miss that opportunity, it becomes difficult later on to say we're going to compensate you because they have missed a particular phase of their life. Same as the right to health. So people are not able to access their health. So somebody has died because they couldn't access the medical attention. So there's so many issues that are involved, which now, if you look at it, you cannot just say we're going to just wait until it happens. You have to adopt a victim-centered approach to dealing with it, so that this fast-tracked and ensure that the people get justice as soon as it can be done, because the longer it stays, the more difficult it becomes to remedy some of those violations.
Justice delayed.
Yes.
And Wakili, you know, a recurring concern is whether reopening these historical land claims could create uncertainty, especially when you look at Kenya's land registration system. From where you stand, how can the law correct historical injustices while preserving public confidence in the title deeds and also the broader land registration system?
Now, in establishing the National Land Commission, and Article Code 67, what the Constitution of Kenya 2010 contemplated was resolving all these issues at once. And that is why there's a lot of outcry and criticism as we speak, that despite this ruling giving some reprieve, despite the National Land Commission giving some restitution in terms of 3,200 acres, it does not address entirely the issue of these leases.
Yes.
It has not said whether they expired or not. It basically kept off that. So they have not yet been entirely solved. Again, the National Land Commission can, under its mandate to investigate, do this after a complaint has been made by an individual or on its own motion. So basically the National Land Commission can investigate a title on its own motion. We call it suo motu in law. So if we have confidence in the institutions, then things should definitely work. Yeah. So it's not about a matter of public confidence or what, it's about the constitutional institution established. Yes.
And Kimathi, sometimes some land earmarked for historical restitution may be required for, say, public utilities like schools, hospitals, roads, and other important public infrastructure. How should the government balance the right to historical justice with the broader public interest, where land is needed for essential public service?
So as I mentioned earlier, if you follow the due process makes room for the things to be considered.
Yes.
So things like public participation, then that gives room for everyone to be heard. So when now that is done, then you're able to make a balanced decision in view of everyone's interest. So problem comes when such processes are not followed, the procedures are not followed, and therefore later on, other interests emerge that were not considered. But if you follow, the key is in following the due process, you know, in terms of whether you want to convert a particular part, you know, land for public use or, you know, for commercial use, etc., etc. The due process is always key.
Yes, the due process. And from where you stand, Ithaki, what reforms would strengthen both land registration and historical justice?
Well, some of the reforms that ought to be done to the prevailing regime on land registration is basically a roadmap on what matters should this constitutional commission that has been established mostly dwell into. What nature of complaints, they should be more specific on that. When you talk about historical injustices, what aspects or areas are we really looking at? Are we also going to consider how these lands were acquired, not only the leases that were issued? Maybe people bought land at, for willing buyer, willing seller, on a willing buyer, willing seller basis. So some of these things should be a bit specific and more strict legally, so that we have a clear roadmap on how these matters should be handled. Because it's not the old Kakuzi issue alone. There are other people with very many historical injustices pertaining to land, even between private citizens, not only public land, yes, or community land.
And Kimathi, you know, at the international level, you know, in countries like Canada, South Africa, New Zealand, they have pursued restitution and negotiated settlements. From where you stand, which international lessons should we as a country adapt to ensure that when you are dealing with these land matters, especially when it comes to historical justice, every party feels well served?
The different actors have to play their role. Every actor here, starting with the state, which is the primary duty bearer here, they have a duty to facilitate the enjoyment of certain rights.
Yes.
So which means when it comes to ensuring justice is served, then they have to fast track it just to ensure that the communities get that. Now, on the other hand, the businesses, the enterprise, have got responsibilities. In this case, we're talking about the business enterprises. They have to comply these principles that have been put forward, that you have to look at so that you make sure that you've considered all factors that need to be considered, then you don't find yourself in, in the wrong side of the law later on, years to come. They call them the UN Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights. So whereby you have to, look at, do your due diligence, find out, once you do that particular business that you want to do there, what's the impact on the society? And then for the communities that are involved, for instance, when they organize in associations, then they are able to advocate for their rights together because, if you're individual, majority of them are, from marginalized communities, so they're vulnerable. So, but when they organize themselves, as, in groups, then they are able to advocate and also participate in such processes effectively. Now, if you put all those measures together, then you find those are the good practices of how to ensure that such issues do not recur. Because if the state plays its role, the business does its role, the communities also are active and proactive in terms of agitating for their rights, then you find these minimal chances of the rights being violated, and where there is, then there is restitution for the same.
Very much indeed. Let me take your closing remarks, and I'll start with you, Wakili.
Well, very well. So, historically, very many things have happened, especially directed or perpetrated by the colonialists. We found ourselves there. She informed me before the show that she was born in Kakuzi, so she knows no other home. That is all she knows. And it's the right time now. We have to deal with all these things. So the ball is in the National Land Commission's court. They have to restore public confidence in them. They have to investigate these injustices keenly, without fear and without favor. It doesn't matter who it is. Let's restore public dignity.
Okay. Ujumbe wako wa mwisho.
Mimi ile naweza kusema, nasema tu serikali waturudishie, watuletee title deed, sababu shamba wameturudishia eka 3,200.
Yes.
Kwa hivyo tu wakubali. Wakubali tu, sababu tunawaomba.
Sawa. Kimathi, in less than 30 seconds.
So what I would say in view of that matter is that a sustainable agriculture sector cannot be built on unresolved historical injustices. And true corporate responsibility is based on adhering to government administrative actions to remedy. You also have to drop retaliatory actions, but then most importantly, you have to acknowledge the right to ancestral land as a fundamental right.
As a fundamental right. Thank you so much. That is Kimathi Kithure, who is a human rights defender, Rebecca Wajiko, who is a claimant of land in Kakuzi, and Turunga Ithagi, who is an advocate and mediator when it comes to matters of land. This is where this conversation ends. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Mike Migwe. Vivian Degwa is up next with My Health Tuesday. Stay with us.
The wait is over. KBC Iko Huduma Center. Starting with Nairobi, kupata huduma za KBC imekuwa rahisi. From digital guidance and signet services to booking of commercial adverts and documentaries. Visit our dedicated desks at Huduma Center GPO, Times Square, Makadara, Kibera, or Isli. Tunakungoja hapo. Whether it's a casual announcement or a specialized media solution for your business, we are here to serve you. KBC at Huduma Centers. Moving closer to you. Your station, your service.
In a world where news is ever changing, staying informed is more important than ever.
Join us every week on News Check, your go-to show for the latest in current affairs, breaking news and in-depth analysis.
A warm welcome to KBC News Check.
From politics to global events, we bring you content that matter to you.
We're not just speaking about the governance and how we want to see it, but want to actually participate.
Get your facts, hear from the experts, and really understand what is happening around you.
We need to change our system first. You have to do the impossible to make sure the message is home.
Stay ahead, stay informed, stay engaged.
Will these people, everybody agree?
Just listen to me.
Let's give him a chance to clear the air.
Catch News Check every Tuesday and Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Only on KBC Channel 1.
Lights on, volume up. This is where stories come alive. From local drama that hits close to home.
Alinivamia akiwa na vijana wengine wawili. Toka nje. Hii nyumba yako.
Yote ni porojo. To international series everyone's talking about. Stories that pull you in. Characters you won't forget.
Stop complaining and just get out of here. Go now, go.
We turn up the volume with music that moves, showcases rising stars, and bring the beat straight to your living room. And when it's time to talk, we don't hold back.
How is everything going?
Real conversations, big personalities, the issues, the loves, the moment everyone's debating the next day. Every show, every night, different voices, one destination. This is television that feels alive, unpredictable, and missable.
Okay, it is time for Health Check right now. And what a better conversation to have than to discuss the season that we're in right now. That is the cold season. And I bet that if you are in Nairobi, you have experienced the cold, especially yesterday and today. And I'm sure across different parts of the country, the cold has really been a lot. So we are going to be looking at ways in which we can ensure that we are having the proper nutrition specifically around this time. So the topic of conversation is nutrition care during the cold season in order for us to avoid flu and the cold as well. And what better way to have this conversation than to have a doctor on set. We have a clinical nutritionist from Placid Nutrition Center. His name is Dr. Japheth Winston, RDN. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Vivian.
It's a pleasure to have you here this morning.
It's a pleasure to be here on this cold.
It's quite chilly.
July.
Huh?
Really
it's
chilly.
Very, very chilly. So this conversation is actually really, really timely.
Yeah.
So let me begin by just asking, what is the correlation or how does the cold weather affect our immune system?
Yeah, I think the cold weather makes immune system go weak sometimes. Number one, let me use a simple analogy for our small children in kindergarten, in nursery schools. There's that period of time where the whole class is coughing.
Yeah.
Or your little boy, your little girl went to class and suddenly came back with the flu. So the cold season makes the viruses which cause flu and this kind of respiratory diseases last longer in the air. And also they make them more virus stronger so that there are more virus-related infections at that time. And also you'll notice that during the cold season we stay indoors more. And we also don't open windows, so there's not so much circulation. People are like, it's really cold, please, shut those windows. So that makes those infections more during the cold season. And also the immunity may go a bit lower at that time. Yeah.
So does what we eat play a role in us avoiding some of these common illnesses during the cold season, like the flus and someone catching a cold and all of that? Does nutrition play a role?
Yes, nutrition plays a role in the immunity. Remember, you are what you eat. Your immunity comes from your nutritional status. That is why we have something called malnutrition. When somebody is malnourished, then their immune levels goes down. So it's a vicious cycle. We call it the vicious cycle of malnutrition. So when you're malnourished, your immune goes low, you become sick, you're sick again, makes your immunity worse. So what you eat makes your immunity good or terrible. So many of the times you find most of our diets are predominantly fast foods, highly processed foods, high in sugars, high in fats. That really affects the immune status because we know the types of foods that build our immunity are the probiotics, the multivitamins, the fruits and the veggies, which most of the time you find is highly lacking in our modern day diets. Yes. So what you eat, yes, will affect your immunity.
It does affect our immunity, and in the end also affects whether you will be able, you will catch an illness or an allergy maybe in relation to your body and how it relates with the cold. So you mentioned the proper diet to consider mainly around this time. You've talked about the vegetables, fruits. So what else should I consider as someone who's looking towards preventing me catching a cold or a flu?
Okay, apart from the heavy sweaters, the heavy jackets, and the heavy duvets, for some of us who come from Kinagov or Karaga and those kind of things, it's also important to consider the nutrients that you take. There are some I'll give 5 or 4 key nutrients that are very important for your immunity. Of course, everybody knows vitamin C. It's good for immunity at this time. So you'll find families stocking up vitamin C gummies, families stocking up vitamin C effervescence. So vitamin C is an important nutrient that helps in the immunity, especially around this cold period. And vitamin C is related to the mucosal lining. Mucosal lining is the mucus lining around the breathing tract, the airway system. And remember, the mucosal lining is the first barrier of defense, especially for these flus and these things, because the mucus lining will trap germs, will trap pollutants, will trap all those kind of things. So vitamin C helps you to build that mucosal lining. We also have vitamin A. Maybe I also mentioned where vitamin C is found. Vitamin C is found in citrus fruits. Citrus fruits, mostly lemons, oranges, tangerines. Right now, pixies are in the season. So please grab those pixies. Don't joke with them. Just stock up on them. They are in the season right now. So citrus fruits. Managu. I hear people say, what? Those managus can help your immunity. You tell some people to take managu, they're like, who? Yeah, you need those managus. They are rich in vitamin C. They'll help you. We also have vitamin A. Vitamin A is also an important micronutrient which will help you with your immunity. It also builds the immune system to respond to the flu and this kind of symptoms that are around the corner.
So foods rich in vitamin A?
Foods rich in vitamin A are things like, it's funny how sometimes many of us will run to buy supplements. And they go to the store like, get me, those kind of things. But some of these foods are found in the most available foods on your shelf, in the kitchen, in your local market. Something like a carrot will give you vitamin A. Something like pawpaw will give you vitamin A. Mawaru, not waru. How do you call sweet potatoes in your language?
Ngwashe.
Ngwashe, yeah. That, especially the orange-fleshed ngwashe. It's sweet, but it also has something called beta-carotenes. Beta-carotenes are the orange-yellow colorings in food. Beta-carotenes are an important source of vitamin A, which will help your immunity. Of course, your eyes as well. So everyone knows carrots will help you with your eyes because of the vitamin A that is found in the beta-carotene. Yeah, so those are the two. Number 2 was vitamin A. Number 3 mineral which will also help you with your immunity are the probiotics.
Okay.
Yeah, I know right now there's a lot of fuss and people are trying to get probiotics. Probiotics are the good bacteria that exist in your gut. Do you know that 70% of your immunity is in the gut, Vivian? Did you know that?
70%.
70% of your immunity is in the gut.
Yeah.
So you need to take care of your gut health by stocking up or using probiotics. Probiotics, for layman language, are the healthy bacteria which are found in your system. There's bacteria all over on the surfaces, on our foods, on our surrounding. But the body has a stockpile of its own defense bacteria.
Good bacteria.
Good bacteria. So these are what we are calling the probiotics. So these probiotics you can find, again, I want to use very simple foods that people can relate with, you know. Things like mursik. Chamge, my friend from the other side of the world.
Chamge muno.
Chamge muno. So things like mursik will give you a daily dose of bacteria, of good probiotic bacteria. Things like, hey, go to Ronald Ngala Street, Pale RMG. There are guys who take something called Uji Power there. Fermented porridge. It's very good. Guys, I know there are people watching us along Ronald Ngala having their dose of Uji Power. That fermented porridge gives you probiotics which will boost your immunity. And of course, for those who can afford their yogurts off their shelves, they're those the ones that are processed and enriched with more probiotics. So those are good dose for your care. And finally, vitamin D. Vitamin D has also been proven to help with this flu and respiratory syndromes. During the COVID era, I think vitamin D supplementation was noticed to be one of the main factors that helped most of the patients that survived the COVID pandemic. So vitamin D is known to boost your immunity and fight respiratory illnesses. Yes.
Vitamin D rich foods?
Vitamin D rich foods. And also remember, during this period, the sun is less. So we may not be exposed to so much of vitamin D at this time. Especially those from the North Pole and those on the other side of the planet, they might not be having so much of vitamin D. So or maybe you're coming from Kenya, you're traveling to the west or the other side. It is important you get a dose of vitamin D. Some of the hospitals around can give you a dose of vitamin D to protect your immunity as you travel to these countries which have less daylight, to protect your immunity, especially for respiratory syndromes.
And if you're looking to get it in your foods, what kind of foods should I, focus on to as my intake of vitamin D?
So for vitamin D, mostly what we do is you have those things that boost your vitamin D intake from the diet. So vitamin C will also help you to take vitamin C because vitamin D. Fortunately for us on this other side of the planet, it is readily available through exposure to the sun. But there are foods like vitamin C which will help you to synthesize more and take in the vitamin D from the natural sources.
All right, so you've touched a bit on supplements.
Yes.
And we know that there are people who stock up on supplements. You have your vitamin A supplements, you have your vitamin D supplements, you have your vitamin C supplements, you have different kinds of supplements.
You're almost like a pharmacy in your house.
Almost like a pharmacy, you know? And these are, you take them diligently. But how important are these supplements, and do we really need them as much? Because from what you've just talked to us about, we can easily get these foods, or get these vitamins from foods that are available to us, so is it really important, or who exactly should go for the supplements? And do we need to be to get, to have it written down by a doctor for you to get it, or I can just get it over the counter? Because I know most of us take it over the counter.
Well, you think you're now striking the nerve with most of us Kenyans who are almost opening a pharmacy or a drugstore in our houses because everybody wants now vitamin word. However, supplements come from the English word supplement. It's like a supplementary budget, a supplementary thingy. Supplementary means it's to add on. It's not like you're relying on it.
Yeah.
If I say I'm having a supplementary budget, it doesn't mean that's the budget I'm working on. It means I had a budget, but there's a deficit on my budget. So I need to do a supplementary budget. Similar thing with the micronutrient supplementation. It means you're just adding on to what is existing. So your food should be your primary source of all the micronutrients that you need.
Okay.
That is where balanced nutrition comes in, where you need to balance the portions and the food groups, the three main food groups: proteins, carbohydrates, and vitamins. If you balance all this, you'll be able to get all the micronutrients that you need. However, there are people who may need supplementation because of deficiencies. Deficiencies which can be diagnosed in a hospital through biochemical tests, which will tell you how your levels are of these micronutrients. There are also life stages, like an expectant mother may also have micronutrient deficiencies because of iron, for example, and folic acid. So during that period, the mothers may need supplementation of iron and folate to protect the mother and the baby as well. And maybe just to mention, now that I've talked about mothers, next week is World Breastfeeding Week.
Yes, it is.
So I want to remind all the mothers, our champions who are breastfeeding, that we are celebrating you next week for the World Breastfeeding Week. Keep breastfeeding the babies because your mama ndio inabamba. Yeah.
I love that. And I want to stick a bit on the supplements, because I feel like it's a conversation that sometimes we don't get correct. So you've clearly mentioned that it's to supplement. So maybe you've gone to the hospital, get tested, and you are told you are deficient of maybe vitamin C. You need to add up more of that. You need to add up maybe your vitamin D or E and whatnot. So, and I know you agree with me that most of us really just take the supplements. We just go over the counter, take them, and start taking them in. So do they have an effect on our bodies? Because there's the conversation of you are slowly overworking your kidneys over time and might have kidney issues in the future. For those who constantly are taking the supplements. How true is that?
What you're saying is very true and very key, because supplements, in as much as in Kenya, our local setup, they're not as regulated as on the other side. Like for example, in US, it's regulated by the Food and Drug Administration Authority or something, the FDA in the US. But locally in Kenya, we do not have so much legislations and regulations around that. But it's important for our viewers to know that supplements may put you at risk of toxicity. I can use a simple supplement like vitamin A, which our children are given when they're born, from I think six months of age. There's a reason why the kids are given that vitamin A supplementation at an interval of 6 months, because too much of anything, really, the white man said, is poisonous. So before you pile yourself with so much of vitamin, you also need to know that you can be putting yourself at risk of toxicity. So there is a daily limit for every micronutrient that we take. There's a daily limit for calcium, there's a daily limit for vitamin A, and we use what you're calling IU, international units. So every single supplement, there's a daily dose that you need to take. So if you're on supplements or you're taking supplements, you need to work with a nutritionist, a dietitian, or a medical professional to give you your daily prescription so that you don't go way and above the daily limit that is needed. Even water, too much of water can cause you water toxicity. Did you know that? There's something called water toxicity when you're having too much water in your body. So anything when you take it in excess is dangerous. So moderation is the spice of life. So just be moderate and work with professionals. I know Dr. GPT is here. We have TikTok doctors, we have everything, but please, there's a reason why we have plumbers for plumbing. There's a reason we have carpenters for your carpentry work. So please, let's kazi iheshimiwe.
I love that you've clarified that. So I'm sure most people have picked that up, and now they know they should not just be taking the vitamins for the sake of it, the supplements. You know, during the cold season as well, most of us are big on concussions because, I mean, they help in prevention. I don't know how to.
I hope my mom is not watching. I hope she's not watching, because we used to drink those things, boy oh boy.
So for prevention, and even when you have a cold already, you're told just have your concussion, have your ginger, garlic, what else, lemons, you know, mix them up and, you know, be taking that. How much does that help?
Okay.
Especially when it comes to prevention first.
Okay. I think that also reminds me of our water intake during the cold season. Many times during the cold season, we don't take as much water because of the cold season, really. And you're not feeling thirsty, so the thirst cues are not as much as in the hot seasons. And that puts you at risk of mild dehydration because you're not taking in as much water during the cold season. And you may notice this by having the urine color highly colored, maybe towards yellow and those kind of things, or having a foul smell. Why? Because you're not producing as much sweat at this time of the cold season. So you need to continue taking your water during this period of time, and that is where the lemons and the gingers will come in. So this is the time you can take herbal infused teas, you can take herbal water, you can take the lemon flavored water to also continue your dehydration, to your rehydration, sorry. Back to your question, where does the lemons, the gingers and the turmeric and these kind of things come in? So I think there's a secret that our old mothers discovered that probably science had not advanced to them at that time. Big shout out to our mothers who made us drink those concoctions. So these foods contain things we are calling antioxidants. The turmeric, the ginger, the garlic, they contain antioxidants. Antioxidants are compounds which are found in these foods which work on something's called free radicals. I'm starting to sound like a doctor. I want to sound layman. So let's take free radicals as, I want to use a term that everyone understands. Free radicals are the goons on the streets. Antioxidants are now the riot police. So the antioxidants which are found in garlic and the ginger and the lemon are the riot police who are controlling the goons, which are the free radicals. The free radicals are what make you more susceptible to infection. So when the antioxidants which are found in this ginger and turmeric and lemon and garlic, they are present in your body, they protect you from these free radicals, reducing your chances of getting infections. So the ginger and the lemons are the good cops. And the radicals are the what? Say goons. They are the goons. So the antioxidants protect you from those free radicals in the body that will make you get infections at this time. So and as much as it tastes bitter, it does a good job in your body.
That is very well explained.
Yes,
we should, during this time, this is when we should be taking much of our concoction.
Yes, this is the time you can take the concoction. And you see, there are people who fear the taste. You can add the honey, because honey is also a very good body defense product, because there are people who use bee propolis at this time. The honey will also not just add flavor to your dawa. Many of us will get it on the street as dawa, but it also adds some defense mechanism to your system as well.
I got it. And I like that you've also spoken about the fact that, during this time we also don't drink a lot of water, because we rarely get that thirsty around this time because of the cold. So you've insisted that it's important that we still keep hydrating, and stay hydrated as well.
It's important to stay hydrated. Remember, I talked about the mucosal lining, the mucosal lining. That is the body's first line of defense. So when you are dehydrated, even your mucosal lining becomes drier. I almost wanted to show, but I don't want to. When you put your finger in your nostrils, there's some moist nature inside there. That is the body's way of defensive, protecting you from pollens, protecting you from germs. It is trapped on that mucosal lining. So when you're dehydrated at this time, it means even your mucosal lining is dry. So it reduces your body's primary defense mechanism. Like the gates in your home, for those who have gates, it's your number one defense structure. So when you are dehydrated, it means that you will lose that primary defense mechanism, which is the mucosal lining. So we need to keep dehydrated, take the herbal infused teas, take bone broth. When you're pendi maji, you can take bone broth, bone soup, vegetable soups. It's important that you still stay dehydrated at this time.
Hydrated,
Yes. Stay hydrated.
All right, got it. So hydration, we take our soups, we take our water, and of course the concoction as well, to ensure that we are still hydrated. Now, you touched a bit on mothers, as you mentioned that we are going to be getting into that breast feeding day or week.
Yeah.
And I would like for you to touch a bit on the mothers or generally just parents, and what nutritional advice would you give them, specifically those with young children during this time? Is it the same as what you've been talking about, or for children it's different?
Yeah, I think for mothers, maybe let me just categorize them in terms of ages. 0 to 6 months of age, we encourage that the biggest immunity for your child is your breast milk. So you have to continue breastfeeding your child for 0 to 6 months exclusively. No water, no grape water, no nothing, no concussions. 0 to 6 months, that is the biggest gift you can give to your child, for your immunity, for their sharpness, acuity of the brain, those kind of things. After 6 months to 2 years of age, it is important to do adequate complementary feeding. Complementary feeding, this is now adding the different food groups in the child's diet. Complementary feeding is not giving your child these fast foods that people do. And oh my God, I hope my mom is also not watching. You know, when you're young, they will hold you like this, the whole village hold your hand this side, another one hold this other leg, and they'll put you in between here. Feeding time should not be fight time with your baby. The reason why most of the time feeding child is a fight with our kids is you're piling your child with food which is the same routine of food, the nduma and the ngwashe and cassava, and it's not just plain food. And I'll say that if you cannot eat your baby food, your child will not eat it. So make sure that food is as tasty as you would have wanted it to be. Doesn't mean you add spices. Just make sure that you can have taste of your food and you'll be comfortably taking the food you're giving to your child. So if you're giving complementary food to your children, ensure it is tasty, it is appealing to the eye. Bro, some of us had uji breakfast, uji lunch, uji supper. I'm sure, no, maybe you look like a cool kid.
Do I?
But what I'm saying is feeding time should be an enjoyable time for our children. Make sure that it's food that is palatable, tasty to the tongue for you as a mother and for the child as well. And the most important thing is balance.
Okay.
Yeah, balance means have the 3 major food groups in your child. If you're doing the ndumas and the ngwashis, it's okay. You can add in legumes. You can add in proteins for your child. You can add in fruits for your child, so that this child also benefits from the vitamins found in the fruits and the veggies as well.
All right, they need to be checked. They need to check your mic for a moment there. But the doctor has clearly just set us, has ensured that we know exactly what we should be intaking or ingesting, especially during this time. And maybe just the most important thing, the 5 things that he has said we should not put away or put aside. That is ensuring that we are having our vitamin C's, which are from our fruits, the oranges, you can get it from the lemons, the berries and whatnot. And then also we ensure that we are also big on our vitamin C's, which of course we have vitamin A, which we have the carrots, we have the sweet potatoes and whatnot. We'll also ensure that we work on our vitamin D as well as probiotics. So with that, we need to be already set. Doc, with that we are set.
We are set.
With that we are set.
We are set.
There are people who suffer the most, especially during this time. And those are people that have allergies, especially cold allergies, dust allergies around this time. They are really having it hard. So for someone who's experiencing that, or for someone who suffers from these kinds of allergies, what's the best way to work around this season?
Yeah, I think for people with allergies, most of the time they know their triggers. So number 1 is to identify the triggers and trying as much as possible to avoid the triggers. There are some who are allergic to animal fur. So you want to stay away from animal fur. You don't want, if you're visiting a friend, disclose that I have problem with fur. If they're keeping pets, let them know that maybe I'll stay outdoor. If you're having cold allergies, it's a time to dress warmly. Ensure that when you're going out, freeze and shine. Their bodies want to freeze and shine. If you're having a cold allergy, I am sorry, you will not have the luxury of freeze and shine. So identify your triggers and try in as much as possible to reduce or minimize your triggers. I also mentioned that this time of the year, respiratory illnesses are so much because our windows are closed all the time because of the of the cold season.
Yeah.
We are all huddled up in a small box moving called a matatu, and the windows are closed. You don't know who is having what in this matatu. Somebody are having pneumonia, somebody's having influenza, those kind of things. So it's important that if you're seated next to a window seat, please just request the person seated next to you to at least allow some circulation. I know it's cold, I know it's really cold, I hear you, I understand you, but the circulation is important. The more that air stays in that stationary box moving called a matatu, and we are all breathing the same air. And I remember I said that during this cold season, the viruses stay longer in the air.
Yeah.
And they are more stronger, and it will lead to more infections at this time. So it's important to open those windows in the matatus, in your own car, in that cab, in your offices. Yeah, sometimes in the office and everybody is fighting like, don't touch that thing, don't touch.
Yeah.
So it's important that we allow circulation to happen. Well, if you're blessed enough to have AC, you can use AC. But that circulation is important so that we reduce exposure to they're already in the air, but the longer it stays like it's stagnated, it becomes worse. So it's important to allow the air to move in, fresh air to come in to replace the air all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe what else to deal with the allergies?
Allergies. Of course, for those who are having allergies, it's important also to be diagnosed. There are allergy specialists, and they can give you the medication called antihistamines, which are important to help you for those who are having, for example, such allergies. So if you're having severe allergies, it's important to be diagnosed so they identify the allergy that you're having. Even there are allergies in food. Yeah, soy, there are people allergic to lactose in milk, there are people allergic to protein, eczema for babies. Mostly babies have eczema a lot. So sometimes even food can cause your allergy. But there are specialists who can diagnose you. There are medical tests, laboratory tests, which can diagnose the specific allergy. Don't just say, oh, niko na allergy. Yeah, you need to know like which is the allergy, what is causing it, and how you need to avoid it.
It needs to be diagnosed.
Yes, and good thing is most of the hotels nowadays will disclose which foods and which allergies are found in those foods. So sometimes also it's important to check when you're walking through the buffet serving, you check, they always give disclaimers of allergies, or allergens, sorry, not allergies, allergens that may be found in those foods.
All right.
Yeah.
How best can we keep track of what we eat? And, you know, especially around this time, more or less you want to intake your comfort food. This is the time when you want to just, you know, snuggle up and eat as much as you can. So how best can we track what we're eating during this time?
I think with the embrace of technology right now, there are fitness apps, there are smart devices you can use, like smartwatches are available nowadays. So there is some of the way you can use technology to also take care of your health. So some of these apps can help you, but really you don't really need the apps if you don't have them. But a simple thing as a menu plan in your house, a meal plan in your house. There are professionals who can help you to design a nice meal plan for your family. Some of us will write chapati every Sunday. It was rule. You are home, what are you taking every Sunday? Don't lie. Githeri.
Maybe.
I know. So there are families which had routine, you know. So you can also have a family routine where you do a simple table to just Monday we are taking this, Tuesday we are taking this, Wednesday we are taking this. That is important. Will also help you to know what you are ingesting as a family. Most of the time if you go to a hospital, they always ask you to do a 24-hour recall of your food, because it also helps the medical professional attending to you to discover and to know how your nutrition status is, what we're calling a 24-hour recall. Some patients have to do a food journal, like literally write everything you took today, yesterday, everything. So sometimes it can go to the extreme levels of doing a food journal. But the simplest and most basic way is just have a meal plan or your normal menu in the kitchen. And that will also help with shopping, because if you're having a meal plan, I'll know what I'm buying and stocking up in my fridge. You know, I watch some guys online and they go shopping, it's like the freezer looks like a whole supermarket. But the only way which will help you to track that is if you have a meal plan or a menu plan, so that you don't buy excess, then it gets getting spoiled in your freezer, things are expired. So a menu plan or a meal plan will also help with your stocking, buy purchases, and also definitely with your budget at this time of difficult economy situation. So a menu can solve you even your budget in the long run.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you have any questions for our doctor concerning concerning the topic that we are having, which is nutrition, care specifically during this cold time, remember you can be able to send in your WhatsApp messages. The number is 0707-303-212. I'll read a message here. Someone says, good morning, I'm Daniel. Thank you for the informative session. You're welcome. My question is, does the cold season significantly affect our energy and nutrient requirements, or should healthy individuals generally just maintain the same dietary recommendations throughout the year? Doc.
The cold season will affect our dietary recommendations because our, what you call it, the BMR, basic metabolic rate, goes slightly higher because now you need to stay warm. So the body has to generate that heat. So to generate that heat, it has to go through more processes of energy generation. So we need to have more so that it takes care of that metabolism, so that you produce the heat that you need, the body keeps running. So it's important as taking 3 basic meals of the day, your breakfast, your lunch, and your supper, and a healthy snack. A healthy snack can be a fruit, can be a vegetable salad. So it's important that you have that balance of nutrients so that you're able to stock up to help the body raise its BMR at this time of the cold season, to also help you just stay warm. Yeah.
There's someone who asked, does sleep play a role in our immunity?
Yeah. Sleep plays a big role. Like, I wish Nairobi will allow me to sleep for 6 to 8 hours. I wish.
I'm sure that's the same thing. This person, right?
The people who told us sleep is for the poor, or the people told us sleep is for the wicked. But boy, oh boy, let me tell you, sleep is important for your health status, because a well-rested body will also help you to, these free radicals I talked about. When your body is well-rested, it also helps you to reduce these free radicals, which causes this infection and those kind of things. So it's important when you're able to. I know sometimes life becomes so busy, but if you're able to, you need adequate rest, at least 6 to 8 hours of rest every single day. But boy, oh boy, we're in this city, and wherever city where you're watching us from, life is tough and things are fast-paced. But if you're able to find time, just find time to rest and rest adequately. Sleep is part of the truth. And remember, sleep also works on your mental health. Yeah, when you're stressed up, you're worked out, you can sleep just to refresh the body. So sleep is good, not just for your physical health, even for your mental health and rest as well.
All right. There's a question here. Someone says, good morning. Thanks for the good lecture. They've taken it as a lecture. What can be the possible cause of a muscle strain causing severe pain and numbness during the cold?
Muscle strain, or I mean, sometimes not even muscle. There's sometimes we will feel it as joint pains. Yeah, because sometimes this could be symptoms of underlying symptoms of things like arthritis. It becomes a bit bad during the cold season. For the muscles, could also be around the workouts. So if you're feeling a little bit of more strain on your muscles during the cold season, you may need to reduce a little bit of your strain on yourself, reduce the exertion of pressure, because remember again, at this cold season, the body is trying to conserve the energy. So when you're straining yourself too much, you may have a little bit of more of that strain. So you want to reduce more on that. But for older people, they may feel it on their knees. As a sign of maybe arthritis or those kind of things. So you may also want to be checked if you're constantly feeling pain on your joints during the cold season.
All right, I'll take one more question because we need to finalize. Someone is saying, good morning, I'm Nipam. I'm always waking up with a swollen face every morning. Please ask the doctor. It's very urgent.
Nippon, if you're always waking up with a swollen face and it's very urgent, the best thing I will tell you to do is go to see a doctor. They need to diagnose why you're waking up with a swollen face. It's called puffiness. Puffiness may be a symptom of an underlying condition. So the best advice I will tell you is go to the doctor to get diagnosed what is causing your puffiness in the morning. Because sometimes it can be as a serious condition as even involving the heart, the puffiness of the face. So I'm not saying that is the condition for her, but I'm saying you need to see a doctor. Go get checked. They find out what's causing the puffiness on the face.
Okay, I want to finish with this last question that I had. You know, some people may argue that it is expensive to maintain a good diet. It is expensive for one to have a nutritious meal. Is this just a misconception? Or you feel like, you know, one can be able to afford, like it's affordable to have a nutritious meal?
I think I get that question a lot. People say eating healthy is expensive. I think it's a myth because eating healthy is as simple as your ugali, skuma, and omena. Ugali, managu, and matumbo. I know some of you don't take matumbo, but it's as simple as that. It doesn't have to go into fancy things of buying cauliflowers and broccolis and zucchini and those kind of things. And, you know, eating healthy, I think it's even cheaper than eating these ultra-processed foods. Go and check some of these fast food brands. You'll go there, your pocket will run dry. Yeah, we just walk into any global fast food chain. You'll prove that eating healthy is cheaper. Once you walk from that a global brand, go to a local kibandaski, ask for ugali matumbo. Give me the math. I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
So it's clearly not more expensive.
It's not more expensive.
The other than junk food.
Umai kula ugali matumbo?
Yes.
Ugali managu?
Yes.
Is it cheap?
It is. Okay. It's affordable. It is affordable.
There you go, guys.
Even your githeri is a full nutritious meal.
Githeri is a complete meal because it's the carbs and the proteins in it. And nowadays, you go to your mama pima, they even give you a free dose of cabbage. Wanakulizanga utaweka cabbage ama skuma.
That's true.
So they'll give you a cabbage there. Some even go to a level of giving you a dessert of avocado next to you there.
All right, Doc, thank you so much for just shedding light on this conversation that we were having, and it was on nutrition care during the cold season. And I can see my colleagues are on the other side. I don't know how they are ensuring that they are taking care of their bodies, especially during this cold season. Mike? Well, are you ensuring that you are ingesting the right things?
Oh, yes. Paying attention to what you're eating, especially now, is very important. Not only just this time, but also for purposes of staying healthy. You know, you have to know what you're taking, not just eating just because you're hungry. That is a very important thing. And there's something that he said about making food for babies. Make sure that it's food that you can also eat if given.
Yes.
That is a very important. That is a very important point, especially to those who are having young children. Make sure that the food that you make for them is a very good meal.
Okay, he talked about madonda, sindio? Na githeri.
Yes.
Okay.
Very nutritious.
Tukule vizuri.
Yes.
All right. Let's end this conversation, and this is where we get to also end Good Morning Kenya for today. Thank you so very much to each and every one of you who has been tuned in. We do this each and every weekday morning, so we'll see you tomorrow, same time, and please, God willing, do enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Sasa unaweza kupokea stesheni ya KBC Eastern Service kwa njia iliyomurwa baada ya KBC kuboresha na kuwekeza mitambo mipya ya kisasa ya kupeperusha matangazo. Pata matangazo kwa lugha ya Burji kila siku kuanzia saa 11 asubuhi hadi saa 4 asubuhi. Rendile Service itakuwa hewani kuanzia saa 4 asubuhi hadi saa 9 jioni. Kisha matangazo kupitia lugha ya Kiborana itachukua usukani kuanzia saa 9 hadi saa 2 usiku. Kutufungia jamvi ni Turukana Service watakaopeperusha matangazo yao kuanzia kuanzia saa 2 usiku hadi saa 6 usiku. KBC Eastern Service inapatikana Lodwar na maeneo yaliyo karibu kupitia 98.3 FM. Na kwa wasikilizaji wa Burji, Rendile na Borana waliomo Marsabit na maeneo jirani, KBC Eastern Service inapatikana kwa mita bendi 98.7 FM.
Lights on, volume up. This is where stories come alive. From local drama that hits close to home
Alinivamia akiwa na vijana wengine wawili. Toka nje. Hii nyumba yako.
yote ni porojo. To international series everyone's talking about. Stories that pull you in. Characters you won't forget.
Stop complaining and just get out of here. Go now, go.
We turn up the volume with music that moves, showcases rising stars and bring the beat straight to your living room. And when it's time to talk,